18-year-old Gao Yang looks ordinary, but his nightmare started just 1 month earlier, when his childhood friend Li Weiwei changed before his eyes without warning at home, revealing herself as a horrifying beast that nearly ended him on the spot, until classmate Qing Ling jumped in and saved both boys with her electrified blade. Instead of offering comfort, she dropped a brutal truth on his already wrecked world. Nearly everyone around him, including family, friends, and neighbors, could secretly be alien beasts, predators specifically wired to hunt rare awakened humans like Gao Yang wherever they hide, while those survivors wield unique talents capable of putting the monsters down for good. Luckily, our guy awakened talent number 199, luck, alongside a system that could grow stronger, yet survival became a non-stop danger quest, with Qing Ling serving as his first guide. And eventually one of the most important allies still fighting beside him today. Officer Huang later entered their lives while investigating Li Weiwei's case, their friction revealing another awakened fighter, and a secret assignment soon added Pang Jun and Wang Zikai to the party, though the tense crew had to learn cooperation before anyone trusted anyone with their life, because their failed mission accidentally exposed Officer Huang's hidden organization, the 12 Zodiac. Getting inside required 2 interview rounds that forced the new teammates to work together, but the final exam sent them straight toward Gachaji village and its bizarre groundhog mystery. The remote settlement looked peaceful from a distance, which was obviously suspicious as hell, and after tracking clues into an ancient well, they were ambushed by shadowy underground monsters, dropping the entire squad into Gachaji village as it existed 30 years ago, where the terrified newcomers barely had time to process the impossible time warp around them, because escaping required solving the village massacre and exposing whoever had committed it, only for the investigation to reveal every villager was both murderer and hidden beast. That turned the mystery quest into a full-scale survival brawl against an entire monster village, and after the bloody mob fell, a towering skeletal-haired boss entered as the final nightmare. With the exhausted team cornered and civilians panicking, the whole run looked completely doomed, as the giant monster seized one fighter and prepared to wipe out everyone else, until 12 Zodiac elites dropped in like divine reinforcements and flipped the raid instantly. Their masked warrior carved through the boss with the kind of damage Gao Yang desperately needed, while a red-haired powerhouse joined the rescue with enough confidence to make monsters reconsider everything. After surviving that chaos, the full squad finally earned membership in the mysterious organization, which taught them rune circuits could boost talent levels and attract vicious competition among awakened. Whenever the Crimson Tide rose, another organized hunt began across the beast-infested city, though terrifying ghost factions also watched these battles from the shadows, waiting for openings. Even so, 12 Zodiac remained their best safeguard inside a world built to eat humans alive. That safety proved fragile when a rune circuit battle created a ruthless enemy named Hong Feng, who later hunted him for revenge and pushed him into another lethal showdown. Our boy survived the brutal duel, breaking through Hong Feng's attacks until victory was finally his, yet winning meant nothing once he reached the companion caught behind that disaster, because his good friend Wan Sissy lay motionless, and no system could bring her back. The story cuts to Wan Sissy's funeral, where grief settles harder than any monster attack, and Gao Yang stands beside Qing Ling when someone calls them away from the mourners. Wang Zikai demands to know why they vanished for days without telling even him, but she has been dead under 24 hours when another mission crashes into their mourning. A Beichuan team vanished while carrying a rune circuit, so the squad boards an endlessly looping subway, where every car is littered with fallen passengers and enough blood to announce raid mechanics. A blue spatial distortion confirms the train itself has become a supernatural death trap, one that splits intruders into copies pulled from different points along their personal timelines. Those versions are forced to kill each other until only one survivor remains, basically time travel battle royale. And one unnamed teammate sacrifices himself so everyone else can escape, leaving final words for his family. The dying man admits this first month among beasts brought terror and courage, but also people he loved, teaching Gao Yang that surviving this world also means learning how to say goodbye. Still grieving 2 losses, the living honor them by moving forward instead of freezing forever, and the battered team leaves the mission behind, carrying every sacrifice into whatever comes next. That next chapter somehow involves fireworks and a self-proclaimed human-eating girl asking to become friends, before the silver-haired menace hugs him and cheerfully announces that he smells delicious. Soon afterward, Gao Yang goes undercover as a junior officer investigating a string of serial murders, with his senior warning that the killer's methods are brutal and this corpse marks case 6. The trail leads him into strange number 11 middle school, where bullying fuels a student rebellion, and his very first interaction is a creepy classmate asking which class he belongs to. Another lead brings the team to an abandoned amusement park deep in southern Jai district, where a cautious knock on the frozen gate opens their strangest shopping trip yet, and the whole crew enters wondering how Beichuan could run any market without ghost factions nearby. The shabby ruins certainly make the organization look broke enough to need a serious loot drop, but their guide insists Beichuan chose this territory for a smart tactical reason. Fewer visitors mean fewer disguised beasts, making the isolated park far safer for awakened, and once Gao Yang hears that logic, the miserable venue finally starts making sense. A sudden noise startles the nervous heavyset recruit before he can celebrate understanding anything. as a giant skull entrance invites them forward with a welcome straight from Nightmare Fuel. He instantly grabs Wang Zikai, convinced they entered the underworld, while the blonde fighter laughs it off because bullheaded guards formally welcome 12 Zodiac and announce the Beichuan Night Walk has begun. The six-person team heads inside, finally ready to shop instead of fighting for once, discovering the Night Walk is simply Beichuan Group's monthly underground market for Awakened. Its stalls sell survival gear forged from black metal that resonates with awakened energy, and our guy finds flame-boosting gloves, but 12 black metals crush his 5 gold salary budget. After lending money to Qing Ling, he has 1 gold left and decides to return next month, only for the silver-haired vendor to call him back before this broke customer escapes. She offers to sell him something, clearly refusing to let an easy target walk away. Then praises someone so young for working hard enough to support his family. Gao Yang claims he will only browse casually, but her urgent reaction says otherwise before Wang Zikai steps up beside him and asks what those flame-boosting gloves cost, and the vendor repeats 12 gold without blinking, setting the blonde negotiator's soul on fire. Armed with Officer Huang's freshly learned bargaining tricks, he decides this robbery deserves a counterattack. So Wang calls the overpriced gloves absolute garbage right in front of their owner, then roasts the stitching, cut, style, and flame logo like a professional internet reviewer. He even complains about her service, claiming 2 patient customers waited forever at this empty stall before generously offering to buy the junk as friendship charity for one struggling young vendor. She ignores the performance and calmly asks for an actual number, forcing his grand finale. A shameless 2 gold offer that leaves both Gao Yang and the seller genuinely speechless. Our guy privately decides this is less negotiation than attempted theft, with 0 chance of success, but the vendor simply extends her hand and tells the loud genius to pay up. Wang Zikai celebrates like a legend while his stunned friend realizes the ridiculous tactic actually worked, and even he checks whether she truly intends to sell before accepting the miracle deal. Leaving Gao with 1 gold, so he proposes exchanging contacts and returning next month. Yet the vendor owns no phone and warns she will not attend the next market, forcing him to accept that these gloves were apparently never meant for him, before he rejects her suggestion to browse the remaining stock and turns away with Wang Zikai, only for the silver-haired seller to slam down a shadowy hand, refusing to let them escape. And Gao Yang turns toward the strange surge, sensing this negotiation just became supernatural, as an enormous black-blue palm manifests beside him and stops everyone cold at the stall, sending the whole market into panic with shoppers screaming that a beast is attacking, while Gao Yang prepares to fight despite his system detecting absolutely no danger nearby, as Pang Jun clutches the corrupted arm and begs Wang Zikai, Gao, and Officer Huang for help. Insisting he is not a beast and his right hand sometimes moves entirely by itself. Officer Huang calms the mob by identifying Pang Jun as an awakened 12 Zodiac member, but terrified shoppers demand proof, since that monstrous arm looks suspiciously beast-made to them. As Gao Yang reaches to inspect it, he wonders why the limb activated now, only for the silver-haired vendor to seize his wrist before he touches anything dangerous. She pulls him through the crowd at absurd speed, leaving everyone else behind, and he recognizes the stall girl while wondering how someone so small can drag him effortlessly. Suspecting she caused the earlier chaos, our guy prepares to demand some answers once they reach an empty walkway, where he asks exactly who she is and what she wants. Rather than explain, the stranger places the flame gloves into his hand as a gift. And the gear immediately channels his fire, proving the equipment is completely genuine, while her price is simple. Ride the Ferris wheel together and the gloves become his, with even the system's lie detector confirming she means every word and hides no scam. So the mysterious girl repeats her adorable demand while pointing toward the silent ride. And detecting no hostility, Gao Yang realizes she genuinely wants nothing beyond one Ferris wheel trip. Then calls Wang Zikai, learning Pang Jun is stable and 12 Zodiac has controlled the market, leaving him free to accept the bizarre date for loot deal and keep the gloves. As they climb aboard and the girl demands the highest point with suspiciously expert balance, while Gao Yang finally asks her name and learns the strange vendor is Chuzu, whose identity means nothing to him, making her generous spending and shabby outfit equally confusing. So he checks every faction possibility, Beichuan, Kilin, or unaffiliated, and receives 3 identical denials. Chuzu finally labels herself a ghost, turning this awkward ride into potential nightmare difficulty, but Gao laughs it off, claiming a real ghost would hardly be this easy to meet. She asks whether ghosts scare him, and he admits they absolutely do without hesitation, because his teacher says his current strength would make one encounter an instant game over. Still, with their promised ride underway, he assumes the bargain is already complete, while Chuzu objects that this dead Ferris wheel feels nothing like glowing television versions, and he explains the abandoned park lacks both electricity and functional night lighting. Yet the disappointment on her face convinces him to honor the experience another way, so Gao Yang asks whether she wants fireworks, instantly restoring the strange girl's excitement. And her enthusiastic answer gives him exactly the excuse needed to show off flames. He tells Chuzu to close her eyes, then stands for his homemade spectacle, counting down as fire coils around his hand and charges like a magic launcher, until blazing projectiles erupt over the park and burst across the night sky, leaving even Gao impressed while the ghost girl stares upward in open wonder, and Chuzu calls the fireworks beautiful, but her slipping hat reveals 2 white ears. making our boy realize this adorable vendor might not be joking about her identity, as Uncle Hu's warning resurfaces. Real ghost groups are unmistakable, and meeting one means death. That turns Chu Zu's exposed ears and innocent smile into a much darker possibility, while Gao Yang desperately rejects the idea that his new companion could truly be a ghost. Yet the suspicion keeps looping as she watches him with unsettling calm inside the cabin, until his system issues an extreme danger warning and confirms something nearby is lethal. Officer Huang calls then, reporting a stall owner attacked unconscious and ordering his immediate return, while Chuzu only asks whether more fireworks remain, perfectly relaxed through the emergency. Gao orders Huang to evacuate everyone immediately, choosing public safety before confronting her, then ends the call and turns toward the smiling girl with one terrifying question. Is Chuzu truly a ghost, or has this whole ride been one elaborate trap? She casually confirms the claim, reminding him that she already told him earlier, so he asks whether she came here specifically to kill him inside this place tonight. But her answer starts with a cheerful no, briefly offering him one molecule of hope, before she admits she came to eat him, fangs included, because apparently subtlety just logged off. Gao Yang refuses to wait for death and readies his flames, even against impossible odds, but the delayed warning bothers him. If Chuzu planned this, why did danger appear only now? That contradiction points toward another threat nearby, not the hungry ghost standing before him, and even she reacts with surprise as both sense danger approaching the Ferris wheel, before a fresh explosion of fireworks floods the night sky, signaling someone else's move. While Chuzu brightly celebrates the display, apparently still unaware of what is coming, until she says she made up her mind earlier and wants something entirely different, to become friends, which is somehow both sweeter and more suspicious than attempted cannibalism. Gao agrees immediately, provided she never eats him or even jokes about doing it again, and the ghost insists on sealing their ridiculous alliance with a pinky promise. So they swear not to change for 100 years, officially becoming friends under the fireworks. Chuzu suddenly senses her older sister approaching, however, and realizes playtime is over, then bolts from the cabin before Gao can ask another useful question about her motives, calling that she will see Gao Yang next time as her body blurs away, while he returns the farewell, still completely unsure what friendship with a ghost means. Only afterward does he realize her older sister triggered the warning and could have killed him instantly, before his worried teammates arrive, shouting for him to hold on inside the stopped ride, with Wang Zikai demanding the lizard beast's location while another companion checks Gao for injuries. But he insists Chuzu already left and flexes that someone his level never gets scared. He promises details back at base while asking about the fake vendor who dragged him away. And the answer waits below, where Pang Jun kneels beside the unconscious real stall owner, because after the arm incident ended, someone found her body and called Gao about his purchase. Yet healing cannot touch the strange wound, whose aura belongs to neither beast nor awakened. A red-haired Beichuan leader finally ends the gathering and orders everyone home immediately, announcing future meetings will relocate while higher officials receive a full report later tonight. And the frightened market obeys, leaving Chu Zu's attack as the night's biggest mystery, while Gao recognizes the red-haired leader as someone far more important than expected. When the crowd addresses her as Sister Chen Ying, an old acquaintance greeting 12 Zodiac, and she apologizes before officially interrupting the gathering with urgent medical news for everyone present. The stall owner's condition comes from a curse, and the prognosis looks seriously grim. Gao remembers curse-type talents exist under Miracle, though this attack likely was not awakened-made, as Chen Ying requests an escort transporting the patient to Beichuan headquarters against another ambush, while he concludes Chuzu targeted nobody else, making this favor relatively safe to accept, and grateful Beichuan offers generous compensation, inviting the rescuers to name any price, so Officer Huang requests every item purchased tonight become free because loot is loot, leaving Chen Ying to realize 12 Zodiac apparently brought its strongest bargaining talent. Before departure, Gao sends unstable Pang Jun with Wang Zikai, the only person able to control him, but Chen Ying refuses to admit a wanderer into headquarters and questions whether this unusual one is dangerous. Gao argues he is harmless for now and has saved their lives repeatedly, earning cautious approval, so the escort finally sets off before another curse or ghost faction can interrupt. And at Beichuan headquarters, staff scramble to locate a specialist named Xia Yi inside, learning she is waiting in the lounge while the cursed patient keeps fading, where another member asks Chen Ying what happened and who the unfamiliar escorts are. The leader skips introductions and orders Xia Yi called straight to the clinic, then thanks the 3 escorts, though they stay to witness another awakened talent in action. As Dr. Xia Yi enters the treatment room and prepares to examine the curse, Xia Yi studies the dark aura and confirms the diagnosis. Jiang Hao truly carries a curse, then orders assistants to move him onto the ritual altar before the contamination spreads, where candles blaze around an occult circle while every nervous observer retreats to safety, because the doctor warns anyone crossing its boundary could become the curse's next host. And her invocation calls upon light, shadow, life, death, and the Holy Spirit before one command purify drops a pillar of sacred energy straight onto the helpless patient, sealing him inside a brilliant barrier that smothers every strand of crawling black haze until the curse erupts, shattering beneath the light with a vicious purple backlash, powerful enough to hurl Xia Yi backward and leave the entire clinic stunned. Jiang Hao weakly begs everyone to stay away, proving his consciousness has finally returned, but Chen Ying immediately demands to know whether the dangerous treatment actually worked. So the exhausted doctor takes her outside, safely beyond their recovering patient's ears, and admits this curse contains wild energy unlike anything from awakened fighters or beasts. Gao silently recognizes Chu Zu's signature, realizing ghost power follows entirely different laws. While Shayi concedes she has done everything possible and Jiang Hao's fate decides the rest, leaving Chen Ying to release the 12 Zodiac team from any further responsibility, thank them again in full, and promise immediate compensation before sending the escorts home, when a faint voice suddenly calls for Sister Ying and Sister Sha from inside, sending everyone rushing back as Jiang Hao sits upright before them, miraculously awake again. Only for his body to swell into a red-black monstrosity asking what happened. Jiang Hao explodes upright with mutated limbs, while Chen Ying orders him to stay put, as he complains of unbearable nausea, desperately retching without bringing anything up at all, then feels something moving independently before a tiny hand and eye emerge from his arm, confirming Chen Ying's fear that the surviving curse has evolved inside its host. And the horrified patient screams at the alien appendage crawling across his body, forcing every fighter in the clinic to prepare for a full berserk outbreak, until Chen Ying spots one possible solution and gives Gao room to approach, where he tells Jiang Hao to breathe, stop resisting, and accept the limb as his own, despite the panicked man demanding somebody cut it off before the thing consumes him. Gao's calm questioning reveals that a mysterious white cat caused the original wound. And Jiang Hao remembers its green eyes, beautiful fur, then the sudden vicious bite making the resemblance to Pang Jun's autonomous arm far too precise for coincidence. So Gao explains the curse drains energy, develops consciousness, yet can obey a stable host, while Chen Ying reinforces that advice, urging her terrified subordinate to trust them, and Jiang Hao finally steadies his breathing, bravely deciding to reclaim control himself. Until the twitching red hand slowly settles and its strange eye finally closes, allowing the exhausted patient to announce that he remains sane and the method works, which lowers everyone's weapons, though nobody mistakes temporary control for a permanent cure, as Chen Ying orders isolation, explaining adaptive curses remain dangerous before coexistence stabilizes, and grateful Jiang Hao thanks his rescuers while Sha Yi escorts the visitors away. With the crisis contained, the three visitors decline an escort and start walking out, only for Shayi to stop them before their paths separate for good, asking Officer Huang whether he is truly Yellow Ox of the 12 Zodiac, then thanking him for refusing to abandon Old Wang during that fatal mission, because the Beichuan doctor finally reveals she was Old Wang's grieving widow all along. Huang quietly says he knows what happened inside the rune cave and believes her, while Shayi remembers a good husband and father fortunate to have loyal companions. Later, inside a noodle shop, the normally sharp officer awkwardly hides behind his meal and breaks the heavy silence by demanding another bowl from the amused owner, who assumes two troublesome students angered him after sneaking away for young romance, even cheerfully predicting Gao and Qing Ling would make a perfect university couple someday. But Huang ignores the teasing and asks what happened inside the amusement park, so Gao casually answers that he met an actual ghost on the Ferris wheel, making the seasoned officer blast noodles everywhere across the table before demanding serious clarification. Because one particular ghost already haunts his memories, and this sounds dangerously familiar, yet Gao's immediate confirmation only makes the entire bizarre encounter much harder to explain. As Chu Zu seemingly targeted their group while acting almost playfully toward him, after her white cat cursed Pang Jun and Jiang Hao with matching autonomous limbs, then she offered Gao equipment, friendship, and goodbye instead of brutally finishing anyone there, leaving Huang convinced her motives resemble lethal children playing house rather than strategy, while Qing Ling argues Chu Zu could have killed them whenever she wanted. And Gao counters that patient predators sometimes let prey grow fatter before feeding, leaving two choices: request 12 Zodiac protection immediately or quietly observe her next move, and he selects patience, refusing to panic before Chu Zu reveals her purpose, which makes Huang ask whether the kid truly distrusts their organization that deeply. Gao explains any group protecting the greater good might sacrifice expendable members first. And Huang agrees, warning resistance could provoke Chu Zu or her hidden ghost faction, even confessing he prays nightly to survive until the birth of his child. So Gao answers fear with the only universal truth. He urgently needs overwhelming personal strength, and Qing Ling seals that resolution with a fist bump. They will grow stronger together. Training begins immediately, with each punishing repetition turning anxiety into fuel for survival. While Gao's growing system reveals he has accumulated an impressive 121 lucky points, mostly earned during Chu Zu's Ferris wheel encounter, where danger generated more than 70, so he evenly divides the entire reward between raw strength and deeper stamina, then hammers the punching bag with a refreshed body already responding to every upgrade, until he leaves the training area late at night, stronger but still restless. Accepting a snack sent by Old Sun while noticing the nearby theater remains open, where he watches Monkey King rebel against heaven before returning freely to Huogyo Mountain, only for a barefoot, long-haired team leader to quietly summon Dark Horse closer, making Gao notice somebody else still watches this ancient movie here after midnight, as the heterochromatic leader invites him to sit beside those unsettling bare feet. Gao admits he has watched this movie repeatedly and always loved its rebellious hero, while the stranger recalls a friend hating its ending and questions Monkey King's retreat, then asks whether Gao would storm heaven himself if granted that legendary power, and the kid answers yes without any hesitation, instantly earning the leader's undivided attention. When pressed for some heroic reason behind it, however, Gao offers none at all, declaring he would attack simply because mighty heaven stood right there before him, which makes the leader decide White Rabbit correctly recognized their deeply shared nature, though Gao cannot tell whether that strange comparison was praise or another warning, especially when the strange man bluntly says resembling him is hardly something good. Addressing Dark Horse, he notes 2 rune circuits gained within one unprecedented month, insisting luck counts as strength before offering one assignment ahead of the holiday, and Gao confidently requests something around B or B+, matching his current rank, only for the leader to calmly answer with the absolute nightmare rating, S+. Gao's imagination instantly supplies an early grave, complete with his own memorial portrait, before he loudly protests that sending a B-rank rookie sounds completely freaking insane. But the leader calls it opportunity and promises any principled reward within his power, forcing Gao to suppress his fear long enough to ask what the mission requires, when the man suddenly seizes his wrist, saying the answer cannot be spoken yet because a secret code will appear later and only then must Gao decide, while the promised dragon reward tempts him despite an S+ mission's brutal danger. 3 days later, a sudden late-night phone alert violently interrupts his peaceful sleep. As Battle Tiger summons Dark Horse, Green Serpent, and Yellow Ox to headquarters immediately, stunning the trio because their uncle has never called them together this urgently. Yet inside his room they find only grave silence and one burning question, before silver-haired Battle Tiger projects a mysterious encrypted email onto the giant wall, where Killen Guild congratulates 12 Zodiac's rune circuits and invites all 3 recruits. Though the sender omits its name, trusting a blood-red beast seal to identify them, and Gao recognizes Killen instantly, confirming their notoriously powerful rival made the offer, while veteran Wu Dahai resents newcomers receiving credit earned partly through older members, until hearing Killen's name sends raw outrage suddenly crashing through the entire headquarters, especially from White Rabbit, who furiously vows to confront those shameless poachers personally, forcing Battle Tiger to demand patience and give the invited trio breathing room, although Rabbit still threatens to break every leg attempting to leave 12 Zodiac. Gao calmly says the rival guild does not interest him despite its prestige, until Battle Tiger mentions their regular compensation runs several times higher than Zodiac's, and Wu Dehai adds beautiful women plus office romance, nearly testing that loyalty, but their senior refuses coercion and grants 3 hours for a final answer, then waits completely alone in the darkened room, smoking beneath the cold moonlight, until someone finally knocks and Battle Tiger quietly invites the unseen visitor inside, revealing all 3 recruits, who declare loyalty and condemn organizations built on deception, while Yellow Ox stays because Tiger promised answers about his wife's mysterious pregnancy, and Green Serpent stays because 12 Zodiac can keep making her dramatically stronger, leaving their smoking senior to ask Gao Yang directly for his own decision, so Dark Horse chooses his companions and the leader already investing heavily in him. Battle Tiger suddenly drops a knife between them, turning relief into frozen terror, then announces all 3 may leave alive tonight, smiling like an absolute maniac, making Yellow Ox realize their uncle probably would have ruthlessly executed anyone defecting, because 7 chilling prophecies leave 12 Zodiac trapped inside an approaching organizational war. The stunned recruits demand an explanation, having never heard of those terrifying prophecies, and Tiger describes a mathematician whose risk model predicts civil war after Rune 7, while their 2 recent circuits already attract major factions competing for talent, resources, and power, prompting Yellow Ox to question why awakened people sharing one enemy cannot unite. But Tiger points toward human ambition, something a veteran policeman understands painfully well. He orders them to abandon illusions and prepare because Zodiac will never become prey, and all 3 answer loudly together, their shaken loyalty suddenly forged into steel. Battle Tiger praises his loyal team, then reveals one final announcement awaiting them. One of these recruits must accept the invitation and infiltrate Killen Guild undercover, cleverly turning the rival faction's poaching attempt into 12 Zodiac's own intelligence operation, while Yellow Ox immediately protests that secretly crossing Killen practically guarantees their deaths, remembering Ghost Horse, a master infiltrator exposed and executed after 30 careful years, so Yellow Ox refuses outright, boldly inviting Tiger to kill him immediately instead, while Green Serpent rejects the distraction because she only wants much faster growth. And Gao suspects this lethal opportunity connects directly to Dragon's mysterious S+ assignment. Battle Tiger explains they need no spycraft yet, merely a patient eye inside Killen, but his 2 older companions still instantly refuse before the sentence even finishes, leaving Gao to shock everybody by volunteering himself for this dangerous observation role. Yellow Ox calls him completely insane because rival organizations never treat infiltrators gently. Yet Gao firmly sets boundaries: no theft, assassination, classified documents, or internal sabotage. Tiger agrees, claiming the kid uniquely combines courage, strategy, patience, and unmatched shamelessness, which earns him an exhausted glare and sarcastic gratitude for that final compliment, before their uncle conveniently frames Killen as one enormous company providing advanced training. Though outside, Yellow Ox angrily warns Gao that volunteering remains dangerously impulsive for a newcomer. and Green Serpent demands his real motive because this recklessness feels completely wrong. Gao explains everything actually began with the Killen invitation received the previous night, when he touched Liu Qingying's delivery, an object carrying her talent psychic medium, immediately triggering sweet dreams and pulling his consciousness beneath a flowering dream tree, where a beautiful silver-haired woman casually asked whether he had considered changing jobs. Offering 30 Golden Crow coins monthly, priority rune access, romance, and negotiable benefits, so he agreed to investigate further and met Killen Elder Black Tortoise inside the dream, who praises wise birds choosing better trees and offers Gao prestigious protector status, explaining an unknown person specifically recommended this newcomer, though their reason remains concealed, so Gao proposes compromise, officially invite 12 Zodiac and guarantee benefits either way. Never expecting Killen to act immediately or include his companions as convincing decoys, before Battle Tiger independently transforms that sudden recruitment chaos into an infiltration opportunity, making both events align perfectly with Dragon's mystery and convincing Gao to volunteer. Although he hides that connection, promising lifelong loyalty while urging his friends toward caution, and the three comrades seal their dangerous separation with one united fist bump. Green Serpent then firmly presses a gleaming protective bracelet into Gao's waiting hand, sacrificing one expensive half of her market pair because he will need it more, before a flower shop bell announces their thoroughly soaked arrival somewhere warm and peaceful, where a glamorous blonde hostess welcomes both visitors, surprising Gao with her ordinary workplace, and reminds him never to forget his old comrades after crossing into Killen. Gao promises he absolutely will not, sharing one final easy smile before departure, while the shop's rare tranquility makes this final farewell feel even more precious. Until outside, a suited man beneath an umbrella suddenly triggers Gao's impossible recognition, because the stranger resembles a literal ghost unexpectedly returned from an old nightmare, specifically Ghost Horse, the legendary infiltrator everyone believed had been executed and buried. Yet he stands calmly across the rainy street, somehow impossibly alive after execution, then silently vanishes between heartbeats, leaving Gao staring at nothing but falling rain, though Green Serpent immediately notices his shock and asks what he supposedly witnessed. Gao hides the truth behind an old classmate excuse, unwilling to alarm her yet, while privately resolving to report Ghost Horse's impossible resurrection before leaving 12 Zodiac. That night, he disguises himself beneath a blue hood and dark baseball cap, then quietly slips into Battle Tiger's waiting car for one final private farewell, where the senior solemnly announces he will send Gao off for the last time, briefly convincing the hooded rookie that his uncle possibly plans an immediate execution, until Tiger laughs, corrects the disastrous phrasing, and calls it merely their final ride. He also reveals yesterday's urgent grave inspection after hearing Gao spotted Ghost Horse, and confirms the corpse is completely missing, making resurrection terrifyingly plausible after all. Before finally separating, Gao asks his respected teacher for one last personal favor, explaining Green Serpent and Yellow Ox saved him, then opened the awakened world, although Tiger quickly interrupts the emotional speech before his passenger becomes unbearably sentimental. Gao simply requests their protection, and Battle Tiger promises his strongest possible effort, leaving the undercover recruit finally reassured as he steps from the moving operation and confidently enters Killen Guild's lavish branch lobby beneath several brilliant golden chandeliers. Two elegant receptionists welcome him to Black Tortoise's branch and politely offer assistance, so the disguised newcomer identifies himself as 12 Zodiac's Black Horse, arriving to join. And they instantly locate his pre-approved registration details before beginning the formal onboarding, announcing Protector rank plus command of 5th Action Team, though his new codename remains open, with Killen Protector codenames combining a number first and some natural element second. So Gao instantly chooses 7th Shadow, an alias cleverly carrying several convenient meanings, and the receptionist enthusiastically registers Protector 7th Shadow without questioning his dramatic taste. Nearby, a massive man answers terrible news that somebody else has died again, angrily demanding unreachable slow snake while the nervous receptionist promises another contact attempt, before the giant notices Gao and dismisses him as some random little brat, only to unexpectedly learn this hooded stranger is Killen's newest high-ranking protector recruit. Assuming a recent defection, he requests a ride and warns Zodiac aliases cannot continue. Then absolutely erupts upon hearing 7th Shadow now commands his 5th Action Team. A receptionist identifies the veteran as Grey Bear and hands him an urgent call, whose speaker is none other than Elder Black Tortoise herself, instantly correcting his attitude as Grey Bear hurriedly confirms the newcomer has arrived and promises complete cooperation. He formally introduces himself as 5th Action Team's vice captain beneath Gao's new command, while 7th Shadow calmly answers him with the coldest possible hooded greeting imaginable. Grey Bear must explain their surroundings, but his daytime police work brings an emergency, involving another savage homicide from a vicious serial killer growing increasingly rampant throughout the entire city, and Gao orders him to lead the way, volunteering for immediate field experience, while the vice captain explains unrelated victims suggest random killings by an evil fanatic, warning that this case becomes far more disturbing once 7th Shadow sees everything, before they reach the heavily cordoned crime scene and meet uniformed investigators outside, where Grey Bear assigns Gao an auxiliary police cover and warns him against careless speech. They cross the threshold together, entering a private room washed in unnatural pink light, and discover a brutally displayed corpse beneath photographs marked by a painted eye. Victim Ryuan Zhang, 43 and single, died from massive hemorrhaging after chest penetration, while wrecked furniture clearly proves he fought desperately against his attacker before death. The same eye symbol marks every killing, linking this scene to their unknown fanatic, just as bespectacled police investigator Jin Tannen enters and recognizes Grey Bear immediately. Grey Bear introduces Seventh Shadow as a private detective brought to break the stalled case. And Gao politely greets Detective Jin while committing that confirmed surname to memory. Testing found only employee fingerprints, no foreign biological traces, and zero suspicious objects, while lobby surveillance captured nothing useful, driving Gao to inspect alternative entry routes, but windows show no climbing marks, so their attention turns toward the first witness. The frightened staff claim complete ignorance as both investigators approach their gathered silhouettes. Before the proprietor recalls arranging women for Ryuan, who angrily dismissed every choice, Grey Bear orders everyone closed and transported for statements, provoking her immediate business complaints, yet he forbids reopening because anyone connected with that room needs proper questioning. Gao suddenly stops his impatient vice captain after noticing something potentially useful near their feet, then directly asks the nervous proprietor for the establishment's complete detailed transaction ledger, and Grey Bear pressures her to immediately surrender it without wasting another second, revealing dated itemized purchases whose repeating patterns may expose the victim's hidden connection. As Gao silently studies every page while Grey Bear watches his expression change, then abruptly closes the ledger, declaring his examination finished without revealing any conclusion. Instead, he orders 5th Action Team assembled at Black Tortoise's branch before dawn, refusing to explain why those miserable morning hours perfectly suit his private arrangements, because daytime school and nighttime self-study leave this undercover student free only after midnight. Early next morning, Gao enters the conference room for his first team gathering, where Grey Bear announces the captain before 3 unusual subordinates snap toward him. He introduces Ronnie, a pierced red-haired fighter whose punk style screams rebellious trouble, followed by bespectacled Zyran, who greets his new commander with perfect politeness. Their only woman remains deaf to everything while completely consumed by a mobile game, smiling at her screen as imaginary combat clearly matters more than military introductions. Grey Bear finally smacks the distracted gamer, brutally reconnecting her with immediate reality. But she demands her phone back because some enemy crystal is supposedly exploding. Then she notices the new captain and freezes midway through her furious protest, instantly calling him handsome and eagerly proposing they trade accounts for competitive matches. Gao redirects the enthusiastic gamer toward actual urgent business before introductions collapse completely, only to wonder why one team member remains missing when a knife suddenly whistles nearby. And he evades the surprise blade with speed that leaves an afterimage behind. A buzz-cut fighter finally emerges from hiding, approving the newcomer's sharp defensive reaction, while Gao coldly asks whether attempted stabbing is Killen's standard official welcoming ceremony, and the attacker introduces himself as Mamba, claiming knives are simply his hospitality. Gao warns the failed test could have killed him, receiving only shameless advice. Then Seventh Shadow asserts command and announces an actual mission scheduled for tonight, crushing the gamer's dream of eating together before queuing inside an internet cafe. He distributes gruesome serial murder photographs and orders everyone to study their target carefully, while the gamer recoils from the bloodshed and Zyran calls the method cruel. But Ronnie dismisses ordinary Lost World murder as boring, confusing his less-informed teammates. Gao unexpectedly agrees with Ronnie's deep skepticism, making everyone await the real objective, before finally stating tonight's dangerous mission in 4 simple words: catch the damned killer. Grey Bear asks whether his captain already identified someone, but Gao postpones explanation, ordering 5th Action Team to move out immediately while confidence electrifies the room. On the road, a police perimeter is already established around their selected destination. As teammates ask what connects the victims and how Gao located their murderer, he answers with one crucial possibility: the serial killer could be a beast. The gamer considers that conclusion hilariously obvious because what else could it be, until Mamba finally understands the new captain means something much more frighteningly specific. Zyran joins that sudden realization, leaving the gamer increasingly lost and embarrassed. While their shared reaction sends her growing frustration spinning toward a spectacular explosion, she accuses the entire team of workplace bullying and demands somebody explain clearly, so Gao clarifies the killer commits each murder in beast form, never human form, horrifying the gamer with the idea that hidden beasts are slaughtering one another. Gao explains every victim suffered torture until mental collapse triggered involuntary beast transformation, then reverted after death without signs of serious resistance, identifying them as lost ones. Zyran wonders whether some powerful awakened murderer could be executing disguised beasts, but absent talent damage and strictly killing controlled territory make that theory completely irrational. The gamer protests beasts should obey the way of gang, never murdering their own, until Gao cites Gachaj's mutated demi-human, proving rules bend when someone has motive. Gray Bear finally asks how their captain located a suspect beyond this broader theory, so Gao recalls every crime scene I was painted clockwise by a left-handed killer, perfectly matching the proprietor's clockwise handwritten circles scattered throughout her suspicious transaction ledger. Gray Bear shouts that she must be responsible, but Gao calls left-handedness insufficient. Whether she is guilty will become obvious once Seventh Shadow questions her personally. And with the entire perimeter cleared, his team performs one final preparation together. Gao asks everyone to stack hands, establishing the physical contact his copy requires, while his subordinates enthusiastically count down and their visibly embarrassed captain plays along, revealing 5 immediately available talents inside his system, each carrying different tactical value. Mamba offers level 4 Gecko, Gray Bear carries Beast, both perfect for violent operations. Zyran provides Mute and Ronnie provides Confusion, powerful yet heavily restricted support abilities, while Lazy can surprisingly owns Invisibility, though its level 3 duration remains frustratingly short. Gao selects Gecko, finally triggering Copy's level 3 upgrade and permanent new stat bonuses, before the whole team stacks hands again, promising everything will proceed smoothly tonight. Their victory chant immediately falls apart through terrible synchronization, embarrassing everyone except Can. Gao stations Zyran, Ronnie, and Can outside while Gray Bear and Mamba follow. The three enter the massage parlor and politely request another conversation with its proprietor, but she refuses further police travel, insisting yesterday's statement contained everything they need. Gray Bear skips subtlety and asks whether she murdered the man inside her shop, provoking furious denial from a businesswoman already financially ruined by the surrounding investigation. Gao calmly rephrases the critical question, asking whether she killed that beast instead, and her visible confusion cracks into sudden fear as the hidden meaning lands. She desperately denies everything again, even claiming she is human rather than beast, but Gao's lie detector instantly exposes the answer as false inside his system. Repeated warnings scream that she is lying, confirming their suspected killer before him. Seventh Shadow orders everyone to move forward, launching the prepared capture operation immediately. Gray Bear transforms first, swelling into a gigantic muscular beast beneath crimson energy, while the proprietor tears away her human disguise, revealing a yellow-eyed reptilian monster. She launches directly at Gao with claws extended and jaws full of razors, forcing him backward as Gray Bear warns that their cornered target is going berserk. Yet the monster keeps screaming she killed nobody, even while attacking her accusers, until Gray Bear's enormous transformed arms seize her body and halt the charge, then violently smash her downward with overwhelming force, beginning their brutal close-quarters struggle. But the reptilian woman rebounds instantly, attacking again with claws and pure desperation. Gray Bear blocks her savage rush and drives a devastating punch straight downward, sending the transformed proprietor crashing aside hard enough to shake the entire room. Can warns lost ones become unpredictable after berserking, while Gao orders this one captured alive. Then another projectile strikes nearby, announcing a second intruder inside their supposedly sealed perimeter. A blur tears across the room before anyone can secure the fallen proprietor, revealing a huge gray reptile with armored scales, red eyes, and murderous claws. Mamba realizes the real slaughter actually appeared, proving their target was calculated bait. The monster attacks immediately, but Mamba catches one claw against his short blade and confidently claims this dangerous opponent alone while the others contain the proprietor. Slaughter's crushing strength sends him flying, making Gray Bear shout toward their exposed captain. Gao answers by igniting flames, warning the beast to stay away from his people, then commands the fire forward as blazing orange energy coils around both arms. A violent inferno detonates across the room and swallows the armored monster whole, yet Slaughter emerges badly scorched but still standing, protected by terrifyingly thick scales. It immediately charges again through smoke, splintering walls while the overwhelmed team scrambles. Behind Gao, Gray Bear's transformation surges larger, becoming a towering shadow of muscle, until the vice captain assumes a colossal bear-like form powerful enough for direct collision. His gigantic paw brutally smashes Slaughter down, matching armored ferocity with overwhelming mass, but the savage reptile snaps back with razor teeth, refusing to remain buried until Mamba launches multiple knives, burying steel directly through Slaughterer's glowing red eyes. Blinded and roaring, the reptile becomes vulnerable while Gray Bear keeps crushing its body. Then a coordinated final impact drives the armored killer violently into the floor. Slaughter lies dead with blades through its chest, blood spreading beneath shattered scales. Gray Bear asks who earned the kill, and Gao diplomatically splits credit halfway. With the immediate threat eliminated, Seventh Shadow quickly orders everyone back to work, only to discover the wounded proprietor escaped during battle, leaving an empty outline. Zyran, Ronnie, and can immediately rush inside after hearing the explosive fighting, learning Slaughter died but their intended captive fled, despite Kin's supposedly serious surveillance. Mamba activates Gecko's enhanced tracking senses, catching the wounded beast's fading blood trail, then confidently points toward the exact alley direction their fleeing target deliberately chose. Gao leaves Gray Bear and 3 members guarding exits while he follows Mamba, as scattered bloody footprints steadily guide both hunters deeper through the sleeping neighborhood. Mamba predicts she avoids occupied homes because terrified residents would expose her immediately, explaining injured lost ones hide like animals, recover slowly, then forget after becoming human. Gao asks how his knife-loving subordinate knows their behavior with such unsettling precision. And Mamba mentions an awakened sadist whose lost one paradise taught him several terrible lessons. Their trail ends at a sealed nighttime market where the wounded woman hides inside, while Gray Bear arrives anyway, arguing two hunters should never underestimate a desperate lost one. Gao accepts the insurance and orders him to guard the building's only exit, then quietly leads Mamba toward the wall while demanding complete silence from everyone. And both hunters vault onto the rooftop, entering the sealed market from above. Mamba signals their approach with practiced fingers while Gao watches for hidden movement, but Gao calmly answers the signal and prepares to sweep another section himself. They launch over the brick barrier together, landing inside without alerting their cornered prey, only to find an empty courtyard where rainwater has already washed away the trail. Gray Bear questions whether Mamba lost the scent, provoking an immediate furious denial, so the vice captain bluntly orders him to locate their target instead of arguing. Gao suddenly hears water bubbling nearby and turns toward a crowded seafood tank, where the transformed proprietor bursts from beneath thrashing fish, revealing her perfect aquatic ambush. Now fully monstrous, she leaps overhead with a meat cleaver blazing dangerously red, forcing Gao and Mamba apart as the murderous blade crashes between their bodies. The reptilian woman lands snarling, still clutching her cleaver with deliberate predatory control, then attacks Gao again, swinging hard enough to slice through anything blocking her. Gao realizes berserk beasts never use weapons, proving she retains reason behind every murder, while Mamba fires a knife that strikes her weapon arm and disrupts the next swing. He closes the distance instantly, drawing another blade as their fugitive twists toward him, but her rage erupts violently, surrounding the wounded lost one with crimson killing pressure. Gao urgently orders Mamba not to kill their only living source of answers, when an unseen shooter suddenly fires a pistol into the battle from somewhere nearby. The bullet tears through the proprietor before Mamba can restrain her, dropping their witness. Gao whirls toward the unexpected shot while both teammates freeze in stunned confusion, discovering a trembling, bespectacled police officer still aiming his smoking handgun at them. Gray Bear raises both hands and shouts that everyone here serves the same side, then addresses the rookie as Xiao Liu, ordering him to lower the weapon. Xiao Liu panics over his first killing, believing he stopped someone attacking innocent people. And Gray Bear reassures him that arriving during their murder investigation caused the mistake. Mamba remains suspicious, demanding to know why the nervous officer entered this restricted market, so Xiao Liu explains he lost his wallet after evacuating civilians, then followed Uncle Xiang. Gray Bear accepts the explanation and orders an immediate police cordon around the scene, while Gao quietly asks how they proceed now that their only witness is dead. Gray Bear says they must process an ordinary case, but his warning arrives late, because Gao's sharpened instincts suddenly detect lethal danger sweeping across the dark market. A golden bullet streaks past his head, yet Gao bends aside with superhuman timing, as Gray Bear and Mamba also dive clear while more rounds rip through their positions. Gray Bear crashes behind cover, demanding answers as the sudden barrage pins everyone down. While a glasses-wearing gunman smiles coldly, impressed by Gao's dangerously lightning-fast reaction speed, a scan warning abruptly replaces the action, providing no additional story events or character information. A second website notice continues the interruption without revealing anything new about the ambush. The promotional banner remains on-screen, leaving the market gunfight suspended at its deadliest moment. A chapter cover briefly shows Gao armed beside a white cat amid crackling blue energy. Back inside the market, Gray Bear realizes Xiao Liu has awakened and betrayed them, while Gao warns his teammates that something about this calculated assault feels deeply wrong. He concludes the rookie killed their witness, lowered everyone's guard, then attempted total elimination, but Xiao Liu invokes his father-like bond with Uncle Xiang and falsely proposes peaceful negotiations. Gray Bear cautiously leaves cover, testing whether his junior truly intends to surrender, only for Xiao Liu to scream for his death and unleash another vicious barrage. Bullets hammer Gray Bear's expanding body as his beast talent rapidly transforms him, while Xiao Liu mocks the giant for hiding and demands he face the gunfire. The shooter keeps advancing with pistol raised, confident his opponents remain trapped behind cover, until Mamba hurls a heavy wooden crate across his sight lane and disrupts his aim. Gao uses the opening to roll through incoming rounds, escaping another deadly firing lane, but Xiao Liu promises nobody can hide forever while hunting every movement around him. Mamba activates Gecko and silently crawls along the wall above the treacherous officer, yet Xiao Liu detects his position instantly and fires directly toward the hidden knife fighter. Mamba twists away before the rounds connect, revealing their enemy's terrifying situational awareness, as all three hunters emerge together because Xiao Liu's killing intent exposed every shot. Gao declares the gunman's ammunition exhausted, then orders him to surrender before their coordinated charge. Xiao Liu pauses with the emptied pistol, apparently cornered by three elite close-range fighters, yet he discards the weapon and confidently invites all three opponents to attack together. Gao's system flashes a massive lucky point multiplier as Xiao Liu's confidence triggers suspicion, but savage killing pressure suddenly erupts behind him before anyone can close the distance. Gray Bear transforms completely and lunges at Gao, nearly crushing his own captain, making Gao suddenly believe the vice captain betrayed them alongside their exposed police enemy. Mamba attacks next, sending a knife screaming past Gao from the opposite direction. And Gao narrowly dodges while concluding both trusted subordinates secretly join Xiao Liu. Furious, he ignites his flames and prepares to punish every traitor surrounding him, until Gao recognizes unnatural impulsiveness and a planted command screaming for universal slaughter. He identifies Talent 55 Seed of Hatred, which weaponizes emotions through direct eye contact, realizing Xiao Liu's opening gunfire merely lowered their guard before activating his psychic control. Gray Bear and Mamba turn upon each other, consumed by murderous hatred for former friends, so Gao unleashes fire between them, determined to prevent his teammates from trading fatal blows. He sends a blazing projectile toward Xiao Liu, forcing the manipulator to defend himself, and the traitor barely dives aside as Gao's fireball detonates across his escape route. Breaking the psychic pressure restores Gray Bear and Mamba, though both awaken completely confused. While Gao explains Seed of Hatred and orders them to flank without meeting Xiao Liu's eyes, the reunited team charges from separate angles, furious that their friendship became his weapon, especially Gray Bear, who refuses to forgive Xiao Liu for exploiting their father-son bond. His massive bear paw slams toward the traitor, blasting apart everything within reach, yet Xiao Liu's hidden eye glows icy blue as he smiles beneath the descending strike. Gray Bear's crushing swipe narrowly misses when Xiao Liu slips beneath the massive claw, but Mamba's precisely thrown knives converge immediately, cutting off every remaining escape route. One blade pierces Xiao Liu's glowing eye, finally disrupting his dangerous psychic gaze, while Mamba closes from behind and promises the wounded manipulator cannot escape them. Xiao Liu desperately demands eye contact, but Gray Bear tracks only his movements and attacks. The transformed vice captain drives a brutal punch downward, declaring their deceptive enemy defeated, then slams Xiao Liu into the floor with enough force to crater the market. A thunderous impact erupts across the courtyard, burying the traitor beneath shattered debris, and Gao declares victory as his system's lucky point multiplier continues climbing ominously. Realizing the earnings never stopped, he warns everyone that the real danger still lives. Just as green veins spread across Xiao Liu and his broken body starts mutating, his arm swells into a monstrous claw while sickly vapor pours from corrupted flesh, prompting Gao to recognize a beast aura where the awakened officer once stood. Xiao Liu rises as a towering green parasite monster, roaring with freshly multiplied power, and Gao concludes an internal parasite corrupted the officer until he willingly surrendered humanity. The transformed creature prays to an omniscient mother begging purification for his supposedly sinful blood, then vows eternal submission while green slime drips from his newly monstrous body. He offers everything to his mysterious ruler as brilliant cyan power gathers inside one fist, forcing Gao's system to raise the lucky point multiplier again and scream an urgent warning. The monster releases a colossal vertical energy strike, blasting all three hunters violently upward. Its corrupted arm then splits open, forming a jagged living blade wrapped in cyan energy, and Gao realizes the parasite beast can generate deadly biological weapons from its body. Xiao Liu swings the enormous weapon, releasing another roaring arc across the entire courtyard, but Gao and his teammates scatter with split-second movements before the cyan wave connects. Gao credits Copped level 4 Gecko agility for keeping his body ahead of those attacks. While Mamba plants another knife into the monster's face, provoking an agonized scream, Xiao Liu begs the mother of Kang to save him from disappearing completely, then loses control and howls about humans as red madness consumes his remaining mind. Gao recognizes familiar spiritual corruption and suspects Ghost Horse's hidden organization controls this entire conspiracy, so he orders Mamba to distract Xiao Liu while Gray Bear closes for disabling force. All three acknowledge the command and immediately launch Gao's fierce coordinated finishing maneuver. Meanwhile, Ronnie, Xiran, and can reach the market entrance after locating its concealed key. Their sudden arrival catches the raging monster's attention, placing the support squad in immediate danger, and Gray Bear desperately orders the newcomers to hide before Xiao Liu attacks them. The parasite beast charges cyan power toward the exposed trio outside the entrance, but can activate invisibility at the final instant while her teammates cling close. All three vanish together, proving Kin's talent can conceal everything immediately surrounding her, as Mamba deliberately reveals himself elsewhere and shouts for the confused monster's attention. Xiao Liu takes the bait, firing a concentrated cyan beam straight toward Mamba, while a blazing counterattack slams into the distracted creature from its unprotected side. Gao's flames explode against Xiao Liu's head, burning straight through the parasite's defenses, and Gray Bear immediately launches Mamba overhead, creating the opening for another precise strike. Mamba drives his knife forward, but the monster's cyan weapon catches him at close range, proving Xiao Liu's transformed senses cover every direction despite his destroyed human eyes. The counterattack tears through Mamba's forearm, leaving a bloody stump before he retreats. His severed hand falls beside the monster while green regeneration already spreads across the wound, and Mamba insists he will recover, though Gecko needs precious time to rebuild everything. Gao turns too late as the towering parasite prepares another point-blank attack behind him, then Copped Gecko expires exactly when cyan bioweapons erupt from the monster's entire body. Gray Bear shields his captain from the unavoidable barrage, absorbing the punishment with beast durability. Until the support trio suddenly restrains Xiao Liu and interrupts his relentless offensive. Kin celebrates their successful opening while Ronnie and Xiran maintain the coordinated trap, and Gao orders them to hold the creature only seconds longer for his finisher. Ronnie steps forward, announcing that Xiao Liu's death knell is finally ready to ring, before unleashing confusion as a devastating psychic scream the enraged beast cannot ignore. Gao endures the mental shock and recognizes Ronnie's talent as perfect anti-beast support, then raises both blazing hands and commands the stunned parasite to wait for judgment. Twin torrents of fire consume Xiao Liu as Gao vows to burn the organization behind him. After the flames subside, specialists seal the parasite-corrupted remains inside a reinforced body bag, and Killen's cleanup team removes the corpse, temporarily closing the I-Symbol murder investigation. The following night, Gao receives an encrypted guild message while walking through the city, directing him to Old Fisherman's Wharf after midnight for a secret leadership meeting. He reaches a luxurious yacht waiting offshore beneath the stars and quietly boards, where an unseen host calmly invites Seventh Shadow into a luxurious private cabin. Gao addresses the elegant stranger as Elder Xuanwu, and the man confirms his identity. Realizing leadership personally summoned him, Gao studies the powerful elder he has never met. Xuanwu welcomes Seven Shadows with wine, pleased to finally meet his newest guardian directly, and Gao recognizes famous actor Yan Feng, whose polished performances made his mother devoted. After Gao stumbles over titles, Yan Feng insists this private meeting requires simply Mr. Yan. The busy celebrity grants him only 20 minutes before another engagement demands his attention. Then praises Gao for locating and flawlessly completing his first mission within 2 days. He records 5th Action Team's merit and emphasizes the mother of Kang conspiracy's importance. Gao correctly guesses Mr. Yan did not arrange this meeting merely to praise him, and Yan reveals Killen recruited Gao specifically because his lie detector can expose deception. Gao hides his dread, realizing leadership is about to hand him another dangerous problem. As Yan confirms, a hostile mole infiltrated Killen Guild somewhere within its middle management. That hierarchy narrows the traitor pool to Killen's elite members and powerful guardians, prompting Gao to ask whether Mr. Yan expects his lie detector to find the mole. Yan refuses immediate action, warning that investigation would alert the prepared infiltrator too soon, but as their yacht cuts through dark water, Gao requests one important clarification. He asks whether the world-traveling celebrity has ever truly visited anywhere beyond Lee City, and Yan surprisingly says never, explaining his international scenes were filmed locally in Shudian. After awakening, Yan discovered a beloved foreign director and entire career never actually existed, just like countless convincing books, games, songs, and celebrities remembered across their fabricated culture. Gao theorizes the way of Kang manufactures enormous false information to distract humanity from reality, and Yan admits he independently reached a nearly identical conclusion about their constructed world. Their shared reasoning surprises Gao, who realizes this elegant elder investigates mysteries at his level, while 2 opposing notes suggest either a fake world exists or reality once existed. Yan praises Seventh Shadow as a natural genius whose thinking already rivals experienced leadership, until his manager arrives and announces tonight's filming schedule cannot wait any longer. Yan introduces the stern man as White Face, a tireless manager handling all public work. He departs for the set, leaving the yacht's captain responsible for returning Gao ashore while Gao remains alone, pondering what this isolated world created by Kang truly means. Suddenly, Chu Zhu drops upside down from above, staring directly into the silent cabin. Gao reflexively ignites one hand and instantly recoils from the completely unexpected visitor, then finally recognizes the laughing silver-haired girl and incredulously repeats her familiar name. He demands an explanation, but Chu Zhu cheerfully says she simply came seeking him. She springs onto the outer deck and calls Gao after her beneath the stars, forcing him to whisper because the yacht captain remains awake inside the nearby cockpit. Chu Zhu offers Gao a red cylinder, proudly presenting what appear to be fireworks. She explains friendship means sharing, inviting Gao because he once invited her to watch fireworks. They abandon the yacht for a small motorboat, seeking somewhere safer to ignite everything. Once distant from the captain, Gao asks where Chu Zhu obtains so many explosives, and she admits smashing her boss's cabinet before supposedly borrowing the entire collection. According to Chu Zhu, her older sister says borrowed things never require returning, because the whole world owes their mysterious household far more than fireworks anyway. Gao stops arguing and lights the first cylinder aboard their speeding little boat, filling the night sky with brilliant golden explosions reflected across the dark water. Chu Zhu dances excitedly on the rocking boat despite Gao repeatedly warning her, until one careless movement sends the fearless ghost tumbling overboard into the sea. She immediately screams desperately for help, revealing the terrifying predator cannot actually swim, so Gao dives after her while mocking how efficiently this ghost scares ordinary humans. Beneath the surface, Chu Zhu mourns the unfinished fireworks while slowly sinking deeper, but Gao reaches through the cold darkness and firmly catches her outstretched hand. Safely aboard again, she sincerely thanks him and declares their friendship officially proven, then promises she will rescue Gao next time, despite her embarrassing aquatic weakness. Chu Zhu blushes with relief, grateful her human friend saved rather than killed her, while Gao wonders whether this dangerous ghost is genuinely fragile and offers somewhere safer. Elsewhere, colorful sparks rise over a large illuminated villa as someone complains about loneliness, and an unidentified blonde young man sings dramatically indoors about his supposed invincibility. Chu Zhu crashes straight through the villa window, showering the singer with shattered glass, then loudly announces their arrival while the startled blonde resident demands her identity. He launches himself forward, furious anyone dared invade the temporary home of Brother Kai, but Gao intercepts his ridiculous charge and desperately orders his friend to stop. Gao scolds Chu for ignoring doorbells, although the loud singer apparently heard nothing, then introduces her to Wang Zikai as his unusual but genuinely good friend. Gao explains their small accident and borrows the villa while Wang sleepily accepts everything. Watching the equally strange pair, Gao concludes they truly resemble birds of one feather, then begins drying Chu's soaked silver hair with an ordinary electric dryer. She initially recoils from the roaring machine, forcing Gao to promise it cannot hurt her, but warm air quickly relaxes the suspicious ghost until she smiles with delighted embarrassment. Gao asks whether her dangerous older sister worries whenever Chu disappears this long, and she explains the woman sleeps deeply, letting her sneak away and play unnoticed. When Gao offers cake, Chu reveals her sister forbids human food because it weakens them. His natural follow-up innocently asks what the supposedly ghostly sisters normally consume instead, and Chu answers humans with a sweet smile that instantly chills the room. Gao imagines literal cannibalism, horrified that she might digest victims inside her stomach, but she clarifies ghosts absorb human energy, becoming stronger with every drained target. Gao cautiously asks whether Chu has already consumed anyone through this frightening method. And she admits biting 3 people, though she chose not to actually eat them. Chu suddenly leans closer, studying Gao with hungry curiosity after discussing her previous targets, then sniffs his neck and declares he smells delicious enough to taste immediately. She says her older sister will hunt him once he grows stronger, confirming Gao's worst suspicion, but he reminds her good friends never eat each other, and Chu enthusiastically agrees. Exhaustion suddenly overtakes the ghost girl, who announces she must sleep right there, before curling beside Gao like an ordinary child and immediately closing her eyes. Her sleeping body transforms into a familiar white cat, leaving Gao staring in alarm as the harmless-looking animal stretches across her abandoned pink dress and meows innocently. Gao recognizes the same cat that bit Pang Jun and Jiang Hao, solving their curse mystery. He calls Chu's name, but the white cat only answers with another cheerful meow, then jumps through the window before Gao can demand explanations about her bitten victims. Gao deduces she sampled both men, disliked them, and caused mutations by stopping halfway. Later, a teacher ends the classroom examination and orders every student to stop writing, leaving Gao deeply relieved that the exhausting 2-day mock exam has finally concluded. A male classmate suddenly places one firm hand on Gao's shoulder from behind, and Niu Xuan unexpectedly invites him to relax together, acting strangely and unusually friendly. Then he jokes that Gao curses women around him, invoking Li Weiwei and Wan Sisi, so Gao releases murderous pressure and coldly orders the foolish provocateur to apologize immediately. Niu Xuan instantly retreats, apologizing and claiming he sincerely wants friendship without further conflict. Gao recognizes a bully who fears strength and realizes intimidation successfully changed their relationship. Niu Xuan invites several university beauties to explore abandoned number 11 high school tonight, and Gao accepts, sensing another urban legend may conceal a valuable rune circuit. 18 years earlier, a supposedly rabid senior girl bit classmates and triggered many deaths, leaving the forgotten school's gate sealed beneath yellow warning strips and a heavy rope. One explorer dismisses the zombie-like version as obvious nonsense invented across online forums, while another recounts a female teacher finding a cursed ghost infant behind the mountain. Niu Xuan calls every ghost story ridiculous, and Gao outwardly agrees with his skepticism. Although the case resembles Gachaji village, Kilin territory should have been thoroughly searched already. Their group enters the dark campus while Niu promises several beautiful senior students await inside. A voice calls Niu over from the empty basketball court beneath abandoned buildings, where he introduces Gao alongside 2 male explorers nicknamed Fatty Hu and Cucumber. Niu also presents Zhou Jing and Huan while Ken silently games behind them. Ken ignores the introductions completely, insisting she must finish an ongoing mobile team fight until she notices Gao and blurts out his captain title before everyone present. The startled students immediately ask why this high schooler knows their distracted university companion, so Ken improvises that Gao merely captains her team inside their shared mobile game. She clumsily repeats that harmless explanation while Zhou Jing watches their suspicious exchange, and Niu teases Gao for leaving romantic traces everywhere, earning only controlled embarrassment. The expanded exploration party finally enters the abandoned school and begins searching its corridors. While Ken privately marvels at Gao's age and promises to keep his identity secret, Ken asks why her captain joined this activity, teasing that he came dating older students, but Gao reveals his rune cave suspicion and asks why she entered the school. Ken blames her persistent roommates and Zhou Jing's promise of ranked gaming afterward, while the group climbs toward a supposedly haunted classroom waiting on the 5th floor. Zhou Jing confirms their destination with complete confidence as tension spreads through the explorers, and everyone stops before one strangely illuminated doorway at the corridor's dark end. A faded sign identifies the room as Year 3, Class 2, matching the legend. Niu Xuan cautiously peeks through the doorway, pretending courage while keeping his body outside, only to recoil when a dangling school uniform resembles a hanged student in darkness. His panic description terrifies Zhou Jing and Huan before they examine it themselves, revealing absolutely nothing except an empty uniform deliberately suspended from the ceiling fan. Zhou Jing scolds Niu for falling into such an obvious childish campus prank, as the entire party cautiously enters a classroom filled with staged ghost hunting decorations. Gao immediately recognizes the famous haunted room has become an unofficial tourist attraction. While Niu complains that no genuine supernatural shadow has appeared despite their effort, Jo Jing confidently explains hauntings require active invitation and prepares a riskier ritual. She proposes summoning a pen spirit using only objects collected inside the classroom, making nearly everyone protest that provoking an unknown entity could become genuinely dangerous. Jo refuses retreat, reminding the boys that everyone expects their protection if trouble appears. Niu confidently boasts about abundant masculine energy, persuading the nervous men to continue. Ken nervously demands Gao's protection, though he privately considers beasts far scarier than ghosts, as Jo Jing begins reverently chanting for the pen spirit to answer them. Her hand circles over the marked board while she asks whether it accepts questions. The arrow-shaped ritual piece suddenly moves dramatically by itself, apparently confirming supernatural manifestation. And Niu asks whether anything spiritually unclean currently inhabits their supposedly haunted classroom. The pointer slides across the board again, delivering an answer nobody physically controls. While Jo Jing and Huan cling together, shocked their improvised ritual actually works. Niu approaches boldly and asks whether many people truly died inside this abandoned school, but the moving pointer gives an unexpected response that leaves him stammering in disbelief. The frightened girls demand an immediate stop, yet Jo insists proper dismissal remains necessary. She thanks the manifested spirit, declares their questioning finished, and formally permits departure, but the arrow keeps moving under her hand instead of ending the ritual. Its relentless motion intensifies, proving whatever answered has no intention of leaving peacefully, and Newt proposes abandoning everything before this increasingly hostile game becomes genuinely fatal. Huan tries fleeing home, only for Jo Jing to seize her wrist unexpectedly, as the possessed woman terrifyingly announces that nobody has permission to leave alive. Huan begs her friend to release the painful grip while an ominous warning appears. Then Jo raises glowing white eyes and declares that everyone present must die. The entire exploration party panics and bolts across the classroom as their host advances. While trapped, Huan shields her head and desperately begs the possessed woman for mercy. Ken hides behind Gao and loudly begs Captain Seven Shadows to protect her from Jo Jing, while the apparently possessed woman lunges forward, announcing that Gao becomes her next target. Gao remains perfectly calm and simply orders Jo Jing to continue her performance, instantly shocking the actress, who demands to know how he exposed her fake possession. He reveals her hidden hand manipulated the ritual pointer with a magnet beneath the board, and Jo happily admits the woman planned everything, excluding Can because she would ruin it. Gao asks whether Niu Xuan helped organize the prank, but Jo denies any close connection, explaining Niu cheated on her best friend and tonight's humiliation delivered deserved revenge. Huan proudly reveals she recorded every terrified reaction for everyone to enjoy later. But the playback shows only static without sound, despite working perfectly before their arrival. A sudden phone call interrupts their confusion, bringing urgent news from the fleeing men, who report that Niu Xuan is behaving strangely near the playground flag platform. Gao demands their exact location and immediately rushes toward the school's darkened playground, with Can and the women following while wondering whether their prank pushed Niu too far. Fatty Hu and Cucumber insist Niu's condition is no joke when Gao reaches them, explaining he ran here, stood rigid beneath the flagpole, and ignored every call. Niu mechanically repeats scrambled counting patterns, his body moving like an empty programmed shell, and Gao rejects simple fear because the image-conscious bully would never behave this way. He grabs Niu's shoulder and firmly commands him to stop the meaningless counting. But Niu attacks with machine-like strength while repeating numbers as though obeying hidden commands. Gao receives a system warning that this unknown territory doubles his lucky point gains, confirming a possible rune cave before he sharply commands the rampaging Niu to attention. The simple military order instantly overloads Niu, sending his rigid body crashing backward, and Gao catches the unconscious student while demanding someone call emergency services immediately. Niu reaches the hospital in stable condition, but remains trapped inside a mysterious coma. By 6 that morning, police finish questioning everyone and release the exhausted students home. Outside, Gray Bear quietly pulls up beside Gao and orders his young captain inside, revealing Can contacted him for help after fearing their nighttime trespassing would mean jail. Gao silently curses the panicked gamer for casually exposing the secret behind his identity. While Gray Bear asks whether number 11 high school truly contains a rune cave, Gao admits finding suspicious evidence, prompting Gray Bear to recommend mobilizing their entire team, yet the cautious captain first asks whether his veteran subordinate has entered such territory. Gray Bear says twice, describing both rune cave expeditions as brutal walks through hell. Gao therefore chooses caution and orders the discovery reported directly to Elder Chunwu first. 3 days later, Niu finally awakens from his unexplained coma inside the hospital. Gao and the exploration party visit, receiving a surprisingly calm greeting from their classmate. Gao immediately asks whether Niu remembers what happened earlier beneath the school flagpole, but his nervous friends warn that pushing again could trigger another terrifying episode. Niu admits hiding everything from police, yet accepts the group's promise to believe him. He claims memories of a previous life as Li Zhuanghu, named for his parents' romance. Niu remembers losing his father, being raised alone, and entering number 11 despite severe stuttering. Though academically brilliant, his poor athletic ability made compulsory calisthenics leadership a humiliating nightmare. Gao finds the precise details impossible to fabricate and asks what happened afterward, but Niu explains his mysterious memories completely stopped during that distant high school period. His stunned friend realizes the school incident occurred exactly 18 years before Niu's birth, making reincarnation now sound absurdly plausible despite Gao recognizing one impossibly convenient coincidence. Niu's personality changed after awakening, leaving Gao disturbed that even beasts apparently experience reincarnation. Before investigating further, Gao receives mandatory orders to attend Xunwu Branch's third conference room. He tells recovering Niu to rest and promises another visit within several days, then arrives as Grey Bear loudly mocks 4th Action Team for returning empty-handed overnight. The vice captain explains those arrogant operatives invade guild territory and constantly belittle 5th Team, while Gao recognizes this emergency meeting likely concerns their recent disastrous mission failure. The conference room door suddenly bursts open in response, silencing Grey Bear's booming laughter immediately. As Captain Ju Han enters beside Elite Xiang Dai and Vice Captain Black Sparrow, followed by 4th Team members Zhu Yi, Old Kaio, and the hostile Li and Ju Han sizes up Gao, contemptuously confirming this teenager commands 5th Action Team, then declares the entire unit pathetic for allowing a child to outrank its veterans. Gao expected 4th Team's legendary arrogance, but their opening insult crosses every boundary. And Grey Bear smashes the table, roaring that Ju Han should learn basic manners. Gao privately applauds the savage comeback while his loyal team watches the confrontation ignite. Kan defends Gao by claiming he once fought Battle Tiger evenly inside 12 Zodiac, but Gao cuts off her wild exaggeration and refocuses both rival teams on business. 5th and 4th Action Teams settle across the table, their opposing auras practically colliding. Until a masked Elder Xunwu enters late and instantly commands the hostile room's attention. He assumes everyone understands the situation and moves directly toward their urgent mission briefing. 5th Team discovered suspicious activity at number 11 High School 2 nights earlier, yet 4th Team's follow-up investigation last night supposedly uncovered nothing new at all. Ju Han smugly argues the guild repeatedly searched that school and found no rune cave. He accuses the newly promoted Gao of manufacturing leads merely to prove himself quickly, but Grey Bear fires back that accurate intelligence might simply expose 4th Team's incompetence. Black Sparrow angrily warns the giant vice captain to immediately control his disrespectful mouth, so Grey Bear pretends he only hears an annoying wild sparrow chirping nearby. The furious woman slams the table, ready to answer his deliberate provocation personally. While Ju boasts 4th Team sustained 0 casualties across 3 years, unlike 5th's dead captains, Grey Bear erupts with murderous fury, but Elder Xunwu finally orders everyone silent. The Elder declares both teams his subordinates and forbids any fighting over mission credit. He commands 4th Team to search number 11 again, with 5th Team providing assistance, appointing Ju operational leader while demanding every dispute be reported instead of fought. Ju accepts the authority smugly, and Gao calmly agrees despite recognizing the obvious humiliation. Later, Gao gathers his own team and prepares them for the dangerous joint operation. Gao gives 5th Team one supreme rule for every dangerous mission beyond headquarters, ordering every single subordinate to return alive safely, regardless of whatever else happens. Grey Bear and the entire squad answer their captain's command with absolute determination. That night, the combined operation drives toward number 11 High School under darkness. During the ride, Gao closes his eyes and quietly enters his personal system. With 393 lucky points accumulated, he tries reinforcing several physical attributes but hits their cap. The 300-point ceiling shocks Gao, who demands a method for breaking through it. His system suggests upgrading luck, then cryptically tells him to discover the method himself. Gao realizes he always strengthened combat attributes while completely neglecting his namesake luck. He raises stamina and endurance to 200, pouring every remaining point into luck. Luck rockets to 454, finally evolving his talent into its powerful 3rd grade. His cap increases to 500 and weekly spectator access opens inside the talent temple. Gao enters immediately, discovering a colossal cosmic obelisk surrounded by floating mysterious emblems. Even the battle-hardened captain cannot hide his amazement before this magnificent hidden domain. Back at the school, Xiang Dai whistles sharply to begin 4th Team's search plan, summoning a massive golden eagle that spreads its wings above both assembled squads. Her Bird King talent controls avian creatures and shares their vision across enormous distances. Ju Han next orders Old Kaio to strengthen everyone before entering the hostile grounds. The support specialist channels purple energy through physical contact, enhancing his teammates' bodies, and Ju unexpectedly includes 5th Team, earning Grey Bear's guarded but genuine thanks. Zuya takes range cover, his bow god talent massively amplifying every arrow's destructive power. Black Sparrow and Lian prepare Drunken Fist and Mind's Eye for close combat. Gao studies 4th Team's carefully balanced formation and realizes they expect serious resistance. Jiu dismissively claims his people can handle everything, ordering 5th Team to stay back. Gray Bear bristles at the disrespect, but Gao immediately prevents another pointless argument. He commands everyone to obey Jiu, follow behind 4th Team, and avoid obstructing them. Though visibly displeased, Gao keeps his emotions controlled and follows the operational hierarchy. Xiang Dai's circling birds suddenly detect a target somewhere across the dark school grounds. Their shared vision finally pinpoints the suspicious presence inside the abandoned school auditorium. Both teams advance immediately, with Gao's squad following the confident 4th Team formation. Gao leaves Xiran and Ronnie guarding the school entrance against unrelated intruders, ordering them to report any trouble immediately and never engage alone without authorization. Meanwhile, 4th Team rapidly occupies combat positions around the abandoned school's shadowed playground. Their members split into coordinated groups and sweep separate sections using flashlights at once. Gao notices they launch the search without waiting or coordinating with his supposed support team. Half an hour passes without contact, while 5th Team's own search reveals absolutely nothing. With every lower section cleared, Gao identifies the rooftop as their final unchecked area. The group climbs together toward the locked rooftop entrance directly beneath cold moonlight, where Gray Bear suddenly detects someone hiding nearby behind the battered metal doorway. Xiang Dai then emerges, and Gao immediately asks whether her scouts discovered anything. Xiang Dai reports finding only bitter graffiti apparently left behind by former students. The group illuminates the rooftop wall, revealing layers of scratched and painted messages. Gao studies one especially furious inscription and quietly asks what its words mean. His flashlight exposes a desperate promise from someone still waiting to settle an old grievance. Gray Bear senses overwhelming resentment, carelessly dismissing the authors as angry, rebellious teenagers. Yet Xiang Dai's troubled expression reveals the hateful message struck something painfully familiar. She asks whether the writing awakens any memories, encouraging everyone to look deeper. Gray Bear jokingly wonders how such a beautiful woman could understand that darkness. Xiang admits she was once ugly, overweight, unfashionable, and miserable during high school. Classmates mocked, excluded, and bullied her every day until hatred consumed her completely. She cursed them all and fantasized about dragging every tormentor into hell beside her. Awakening exposed their different species, replacing Xiang's hatred with something colder and stronger: fear. Gray Bear admits her logic works, although her current appearance hardly matches that description. Xiang casually reveals plastic surgery created her glamorous transformation, instantly crushing his fantasy. Finding no useful clues, she leaves first while 5th Team remains on the rooftop. Ken cautiously asks whether Gao truly believes this abandoned school contains a rune cave. She notes Killen investigated repeatedly without results, despite claiming she trusts her captain. Gao explains every official record about the 18-year-old incident dissolved into unsupported urban legends. He believes something real happened, because directly involved lost ones mysteriously vanished afterward, while every indirect witness had memories collectively rewritten, exactly like the mysterious Gu village. Gao adds Niu's impossible claim that he personally remembers living through that erased period. His recalled identity, Li Juanghu, was a brilliant but bullied number 11 student. Gray Bear checked Le Cheng's records and found absolutely no person matching that name. Gao wonders whether Kang erased the boy alongside every student, teacher, and employee involved. Certain the school hides something, he concludes they remain painfully close but lack one trigger. An emergency transmission suddenly reaches both Gao and Jiu Han, interrupting their tense search. A shadowy figure breached the school too quickly for Ronnie and Xiran to identify. Gray Bear curses Jiu's commanding attitude, but Gao feels danger and rushes downstairs. Every member from both teams rapidly assembles around Jiu in the moonlit school playground. Xiran reports the intruder evaded both guards, leaped once, and vanished inside. Jiu immediately orders Xiang Dai to launch another full aerial search for the target. She whistles sharply, sending her glowing golden eagle streaking above the surrounding buildings. A growing flock spreads beneath the moon, hunting every possible route through campus. Jiu next commands Old Kaio to refresh the physical enhancements before combat begins. Purple energy surges through 4th Team as the support specialist strengthens their bodies. He also buffs 5th Team on Jiu's order, again receiving Gray Bear's curt thanks. Zuya draws his empowered bow and assumes long-range overwatch nearby without hesitation. Black Sparrow readies paralyzing fists while blindfolded Lian activates sharpened combat perception. Gao recognizes their repeated formation as preparation for confronting a genuinely powerful enemy, yet Jiu still arrogantly orders 5th Team aside, claiming 4th Team needs no help. Gray Bear again challenges Jiu's contempt, but Gao stops the argument before deployment collapses. The captain firmly orders his squad to follow 4th Team and stay outside their path. Gao swallows his pride and repeats that everyone must obey the appointed operational commander. Xiang Dai's searching flock suddenly locks onto the intruder's new position inside campus. She identifies the abandoned auditorium, sending every fighter racing toward the isolated building. 4th Team takes the lead while Gao's entire group follows close behind across campus. At the entrance, Jiu illuminates fresh footprints and confirms someone recently crossed inside. The auditorium doorway stands open before them, swallowing their flashlights in unnatural darkness. A sudden trumpet blast erupts from within, freezing the advancing teams in surprise. Gao identifies a live trumpeter and urgently warns everyone to stop the mysterious performer. Ju immediately kicks through the entrance and charges forward without waiting for support. Both teams surge after him, flooding the dark auditorium in a disciplined formation. When the trumpet abruptly stops, Ju senses their hidden enemy waiting directly ahead. He advances deeper between silent seats while a lone silhouette remains near the stage. The intruder calmly tests an ancient microphone, delighted that it still functions after decades. Hearing that familiar voice, Gao realizes the supposed enemy is someone he knows. The spotlight reveals Niu Xuan standing alone on stage, shocking Gao and every teammate. Ju confirms Gao recognizes him, and Gao identifies the recently hospitalized student Niu Xuan. Niu addresses the room with eerie questions about identity, destination, forgiveness, and death, then recalls delivering a top student speech from that exact stage 20 years earlier. Niu calls his old admission speech the proudest and most glorious moment of his life. He asks whether Gao remembers Wan Sissy's memorial, forcing him to revisit that confrontation. Niu admits exploiting her death to provoke Gao, only to feel overwhelming fear immediately. Back then, he could not understand why an ordinary classmate terrified him so deeply. Now Niu realizes his hidden beast instincts recognized Gao as a lethal awakened predator. Without Gao's pressure, he might have lived and died believing himself an ordinary human. The newly conscious Lost One smiles wickedly and sincerely thanks Gao for awakening him. Then Niu spreads his arms, unleashes dark power, and violently rejects his remaining humanity. His declaration transforms hidden followers into monstrous lost ones surging through the auditorium. Gao spots multiple creatures closing from every direction, confirming Niu prepared an ambush. Ju orders 4th team into combat while Gao commands 5th team to protect everyone. Niu mockingly presents the attacking monsters as a special gift prepared for his liberator. Grey Bear roars for blood as the first wave crashes into their formation. Frontline fighters smash charging beasts backward, but more creatures pour from the shadows. Fast enemies slip around the defenders, targeting the vulnerable support specialists behind them. Gao immediately warns that the monsters are deliberately cutting through their backline defenses. Ken grabs nearby teammates and starts a precise countdown to activate group invisibility. Grey Bear violently tackles another attacker away, buying their exposed support line precious seconds. Gao ignites both hands and advances through the swarm with pure unstoppable confidence, then releases a colossal spiral of fire that engulfs the packed monster horde. Ju tears through a burning creature with a brutal strike, barely acknowledging Gao's inferno. He praises the improved visibility from the flames and orders every monster exterminated. Firelight floods the auditorium while twisted shadows scramble across its blazing walls nearby. Niu calmly tells Gao to keep killing, promising plenty more beasts for awakened appetites. With one casual finger snap, the mastermind signals another prepared wave to advance. Endless red-eyed monsters pour from the darkness, chanting for slaughter as they surround everyone. Ju rapidly recognizes Niu's strategy, drown both teams beneath relentless expendable beast waves. The Lost One commander gestures forward, unleashing his entire monstrous reserve at once. Gao orders a tight formation, mutual cover, and merciless killing as the swarm crashes down. Ju meets the charge head-on, carving a precise first blow into one giant attacker. When another beast swings a heavy club, the captain slips inside its murderous arc. He relentlessly drives a second surgical strike into exactly the same vulnerable point, making the supposedly durable monster suddenly cough blood as hidden damage multiplies within. Ju completes his combination with a third perfectly placed impact, blasting enemies backward. His grade 5 weakness talent multiplies repeated same-point strikes 5-fold, then 25-fold within 40 seconds. Gao admits Ju possesses terrifying raw strength, finally understanding the veteran's constant arrogance. But this is no time for spectators, so Gao summons roaring fire around himself, transforming the battlefield into a spinning inferno that devours several charging monsters simultaneously. Surviving brutes still attack from both sides, forcing Ju into another close-quarters exchange. A perfectly timed golden shot spears through both monsters, rescuing the pressured frontline. Zhuyi thanks a hulking ally for casually intercepting the monster threatening his position. Elsewhere, elastic black tentacles suddenly lash around Black Sparrow before she can dodge. She identifies her attacker as a rare devourer while its limbs bind her tightly. Despite the restraint, Black Sparrow calmly warns that her captor misunderstands her abilities. The towering devourer now looms closer, confident the trapped vice captain cannot possibly resist alone. She activates Drunken Fist, channeling paralyzing toxin through a perfectly controlled counterpunch into the limb. Her strike numbs the restraining limb, letting Black Sparrow twist free and counterattack. Another massive brute attacks from behind before she can finish the first creature. Xiangdai's powerful golden eagle dives instantly, crushing its skull beneath gleaming talons. The rest of her controlled flock tears into surrounding monsters, covering Black Sparrow. Claws and feathers overwhelm the isolated brute nearby as the women regain formation. Together, they hammer its armored body with rapid, coordinated blows from every angle. But Xiang runs out of ammunition while her distant golden eagle cannot return immediately. A huge stone-skinned monster exploits the opening and barrels directly toward her exposed position. Though several blades already pierce its body, the berserk creature refuses to slow down. It roars through horrific wounds, proving ordinary damage cannot halt this relentless assault. Brilliant blue projectiles suddenly cross before the charging monster and tear through its path. Xiang steadies herself beside allies, barking furious defiance at the relentless enemy swarm. When a monster clamps onto Grey Bear, Ronnie orders everyone to cover their ears, then unleashes confusion so violently that the mental shock ripples beyond the auditorium walls. Ronnie's confusion stuns everyone, though awakened allies recover half a second before the beasts. That tiny advantage proves sufficient as the teams attack before their enemies regain awareness. Gao expands his firestorm into a towering vortex, swallowing the helpless monster ranks. Around him, recovered fighters slash apart disoriented beasts before confusion finally wears off. The devastating counterattack leaves corpses everywhere, and Grey Bear triumphantly celebrates their timing. As the smoke clears, one surviving figure crawls dangerously close to Kan's group. Gao spots the threat first and desperately warns Kan about her exposed left side. Kan turns, then freezes in horror upon recognizing the bloodied woman approaching her. She identifies the lost one as someone familiar and cannot pull the trigger. Gao intercepts the sudden attack himself, taking a vicious strike meant for his teammate. He counters instantly, launching the hostile woman upward and away from the paralyzed Kan. Other fighters open fire, riddling the airborne lost one before she can attack again. Kan screams for them to stop, tears streaming as her familiar target falls. She identifies the dying woman as Ah Hyun, her own beloved roommate from home. Ah Hyun supposedly left for a date that night, never revealing she came near the school. A teammate notices Gao's severe arm wound and offers help, but the captain refuses. Fortunately, Mamba's Copped Gecko talent rapidly regenerates his mangled hand before their eyes. Gao quietly approaches the devastated Kan, who repeatedly apologizes for freezing during combat. She admits Ah Hyun still wore her gifted necklace, making execution emotionally impossible. Gao grants Kan exactly 30 seconds, forcing her to confront the brutal decision herself. Kan collapses beside Ah Hyun's body and sobs while the exhausted fighters regroup around her. After mourning, she thanks Gao and assures her captain she can continue the mission. Fifth Team warmly welcomes Kan back into formation, surrounding her with quiet solidarity. Grey Bear drops his transformation and complains that the brutal battle drained him completely. Kan immediately teases Uncle Xing about his increasingly ridiculous blanket of chest hair, and the giant proudly declares it perfect proof of his mature masculine charm. A teammate suddenly trims the celebrated hair, making Grey Bear howl in outraged agony. Kan calls the new shape doubly charming, restoring laughter after their devastating loss. Her genuine smile slowly returns at last, proving the team's ridiculous comfort worked. Gao appreciates Fifth Team's noisy chaos because silent care always hides beneath it. Ju reports every corpse counted, but Niu vanished before anyone could capture him. Gao carefully scans outside through the broken auditorium window, searching the moonlit campus. He spots Niu alone nearby on the playground, mechanically repeating numbered calisthenics movements. Both teams approach, but Jiu orders everyone to keep distance and avoid rash attacks. Asked for an explanation, Gao insists Niu surpasses an ordinary trump-controlling lost one. A trumpeter can enrage beasts, but cannot hide, organize, and deploy precise successive waves. Gao concludes Niu's impossible control must originate from a nearby mysterious rune circuit. He theorizes the hidden rune cave resonated with Niu and temporarily commanded surrounding beasts. Ju now mobilizes Fourth Team to advance directly toward the vulnerable-looking lost one. Gao urgently warns against impulsiveness, telling everyone to watch the ground beneath their feet. Niu completes the final calisthenics sequence, mechanically counting while both teams watch from below. Then his voice breaks, calling for his mother and begging her not to abandon him. Violent red energy twists through Niu's body as he repeatedly cries the same desperate word. A trembling crimson sphere seals around him beneath the full moon's cold light. The compressed energy suddenly ruptures, bursting outward from Niu's suspended body like a bomb. A scarlet field sweeps across the entire campus, swallowing every building and fighter. Kan stares in horror and wonders whether Niu just exploded before their eyes. Gao's system doubles lucky point earnings again, matching Gu Village and warning something approaches. Before anyone reacts, a distant trumpet call makes Xiang die and Black Sparrow freeze. The sound becomes crushing red distortion, driving every fighter toward panic and agony. Gao endures suffocating pressure that penetrates his bones and threatens to break his mind. Then the oppression vanishes instantly, leaving him kneeling and questioning whether it truly ended. The shaken teams confirm survival but admit countless trumpet blasts nearly drove them insane. Xiang Dai realizes something worse. She can no longer sense her summoned child's presence. Kan innocently assumes Xiang is pregnant, detonating total confusion amid the supernatural crisis. Grey Bear clarifies she means the Golden Eagle, rescuing everyone from that misunderstanding. Zuya discovers every bloodstain and patch of weeds has vanished from the grounds. The once devastated playground now appears perfectly clean, eerily empty, and restored beyond recognition. Ju demands an explanation while Gao studies the altered campus with growing certainty. Gao announces the terrifying truth. The entire group has entered the hidden rune cave. Gao explains this unchanged campus is a separate space, isolated completely from the original world. He considers it overwhelmingly likely they are seeing number 11 high school 18 years ago. Grey Bear compares it to Gu Village, concluding Niu dragged everyone into this special dimension. Inside, the resident beasts may be endlessly replaying the tragedy from 18 years earlier. The group wonders whether killing a rune-corrupted boss and claiming its rune will free them. Kan quickly admits that hopeful escape theory remains nothing more than Gao's educated guess. Gao notes special spaces possess boundaries, then orders scouts to test every school exit. Gray Bear accepts the mission instantly and strides forward without the slightest hesitation. His first step immediately strikes a glowing barrier hidden across the campus perimeter. Gray Bear curses and shoves harder, but the invisible boundary refuses to yield. Even his monstrous strength rebounds uselessly from what feels like an invisible wall. Ken recalls Gu Village's repeating residents, yet this reconstructed school appears completely deserted. Gao suggests nighttime explains everything, with students and teachers sleeping inside their dormitories. Ken brightens immediately, accepting that simple explanation for the campus's total eerie emptiness. Gao praises her reasoning and encourages questions, while Ken eagerly acknowledges her captain. Ju moves the operation forward, ordering everyone to determine the boundary's exact range. 20 minutes later, the teams map an enclosed campus divided among several major buildings. Their next destination becomes the dark, silent student dormitory building standing beside the playground. Gao orders Mamba to enter the dorms and determine whether anyone remains inside. Mamba activates Gecko, launching upward and sticking effortlessly against the dormitory building's outer wall. Mamba suddenly loses Gecko mid-climb and drops helplessly from the dormitory wall below. Gray Bear jokes that one battle already exhausted him, completely missing the real danger. Mamba reveals his talent has stopped working and urgently tells everyone to test theirs. Gray Bear begins dismissing the warning, confidently assuming his own power remains intact. His attempted transformation produces nothing, leaving the powerhouse furious, exposed, and embarrassingly ordinary. Ken cannot activate invisibility, while Gao confirms his own flames are equally unavailable. Xiang Dai reports Bird King has failed too, proving the shutdown affects everyone. Gray Bear blames Iran's mute, but the boy insists his talent is disabled too. Gao identifies the real culprit. A support-type rune circuit triggered mass silence through Niu's trumpet. Seeking answers, Gao enters his system and opens the full personal attribute panel. Every enhanced stat has fallen to its base value, while luck alone remains at 454. The system confirms this special space temporarily disables all talents and attribute bonuses. Gao immediately questions why luck escaped the sweeping suppression affecting every other advantage. Luck is not an attribute, but point spending. Talent access, awakenings, and warnings are disabled. Without talent-linked boosts, all 12 awakened have effectively become ordinary people inside this death trap. Gao calmly evaluates the remaining strength, ranking 4 trained veterans as elite normal world fighters. He places himself, Lian, and Zhu Yi second, with everyone else below them. Against over 1,000 rampaging beasts, however, even that lineup faces certain total annihilation. Gray Bear asks what they should do, placing the impossible decision entirely on Gao. Gao projects confidence from past rune caves, knowing their survival depends on steady morale. Mamba admits he can handle only one berserk beast now, then questions everyone's limits. Gray Bear can barely beat one lost one and expects any slaughterer to kill him. Gao reasons the support-type rune circuit silenced both awakened and beasts during the auditorium battle. That means the school's entire beast population should be trapped without supernatural powers too. Ken realizes powerless enemies give their weakened team at least a narrow chance of survival. A dorm supervisor suddenly spots them and demands their class and reason for wandering. Gao confirms the reconstructed school has inhabitants and immediately orders everyone into cover. The powerless operatives sprint away together, urgently seeking somewhere safe enough to hide. Gao directs them toward an unfinished gym beyond the back hill where supervisors rarely check. The abandoned construction site becomes their temporary base while they formulate an escape. Ju reasons that, like Gu Village, escaping the school requires finding its rune circuit. Gao agrees the rune may exist independently or remain hidden inside one specific beast. He recounts Gu Village's repeating massacre, where triggering the core event exposed the hair monster. Ju concludes this school has its own repeating core event tied directly to the rune's host. He compares their predicament to an RPG, discover the main quest, and clear the stage. Gray Bear protests that finding one core event among 1,000 residents seems impossible. With every talent silenced, Gao rejects brute force and declares only one strategy viable. They must blend into the school, observe its routine, and patiently await an opening. Like infiltrating Gu Village, Wei of Kang prevents residents from questioning groups of awakened. However, the team still needs believable identities to enter school life and locate the core event. Xiang Dai proposes posing as a reporter investigating anonymous complaints about bullying, food, or punishment. Gao approves, knowing frightened administrators usually grant reporters special access to avoid public scandal. He orders a 3-person press team to reach the principal and maintain hidden radio contact. Xiang Dai chooses Ju and Lian as her 2 intimidating personal bodyguards. Both men accept their new roles without argument, ready to support the infiltration. Gray Bear impatiently asks whether everyone else must remain behind feeding mosquitoes all night. Gao answers by tossing the massive fighter directly a bright yellow construction helmet. He orders Gray Bear to wear it, unveiling the second layer of their disguise. Wearing the helmet, Gray Bear wonders whether anyone could mistake them for construction workers. Gao assures him that his enormous physique already screams perfectly experienced manual laborer. The unfinished gym conveniently holds enough abandoned equipment to outfit 5 convincing workers. Can enthusiastically volunteers, declaring her passionate love for carrying heavy oversized construction bricks. Gao instead assigns himself, Gray Bear, Mamba, Zyran, and Old Kaio to construction duty. Can objects that her captain's clean, handsome appearance could never fit manual labor. Gao calmly adds a hard hat and smears construction dust across his face to look authentic. With a rougher look completed, he confidently asks whether the disguise works now. Can instantly approves, amazed that her captain now looks exactly like a construction worker. The remaining four will hide behind the hill, guarding supplies and critical equipment. Gao presents the final divided team operation to Ju and asks for his judgment. Fourth team accepts, appointing a temporary leader and promising immediate contact through concealed radios. Gao orders everyone to rest before dawn while Black Sparrow divides support into rotating watch shifts. Morning begins with the principal urging seniors to prepare for entrance examinations 1 month away. He condemns a student clique for bullying classmates, confirming the reporter's chosen cover story. Xiang Dai hears exactly what she needs and marks bullying as her opening angle. Can marvels at Xiang Dai's instant transformation, calling her a naturally gifted undercover spy. The elite explains that changing appearances is a woman's powerful weapon worth mastering carefully. Can watches with sparkling admiration, completely captivated by her senior's effortless disguise technique. Meanwhile, Ju quietly asks Gao whether Clustered Awaken will make the reconstructed beast suspicious. Gao assures him Wei of Kang prevented that problem throughout their Gu village infiltration. A warning interrupts them as two approaching figures force every disguised worker into hiding. A bespectacled man and purple-haired woman complain about meeting this early near construction. The couple immediately begins flirting, having selected the deserted site for private romance. Hidden nearby, Gao listens awkwardly while their movements threaten to dirty the man's clothes. The woman seductively pulls him toward the building, unconcerned about his upcoming class. Gao realizes this reckless couple could expose the entire infiltration before it begins. Gray Bear boldly emerges, demanding to know who is making noise inside their worksite. The terrified couple immediately recoils from the enormous worker and demands his identity. Gray Bear counters that unauthorized civilians must leave, then learns construction was officially suspended. He feigns ignorance, claiming the foreman ordered them back and cared only about payment. Claiming to be teachers, the embarrassed couple accepts his excuse and hurriedly retreats. Once the teachers depart, Gao's disguised workers emerge and reassess their fragile cover. The encounter confirms residents accept awakened strangers, so Gao authorizes the reporter operation to proceed. Daylight settles over the reconstructed No. 11 high school as both infiltrations begin. Inside an office, the student dean apologizes for making Xiang Dai's team wait. He formally introduces himself as Dai Xiaojun, No. 11 high school's dean of students. Xiang Dai becomes reporter Xiang Hong, presenting Ju and Li and as her assistants. She claims an anonymous letter accuses the administration of ignoring severe student bullying. Dai furiously denies everything, staking his personal honor on the school's strict discipline. Xiang calmly says her editor demanded an investigation before their newspaper publishes clarification. She reminds him frightening gossip spreads quickly and remains extremely difficult to disprove. Cornered by her logic, Dai cautiously asks what exactly the visitors intend to do. Xiang requests student interviews, framing them as a compassionate report on adolescent mental health. Dai hesitates, saying only the principal can authorize interviews and asking them to wait. The nervous dean leaves the three infiltrators alone inside his quiet, orderly office. Xiang asks their next move, and Ju advises patience until circumstances reveal an opening. Ju then steps out, promising to inspect a suspicious disturbance elsewhere in the school. His instincts suddenly flare, making the powerless captain whirl toward the open doorway. A long-haired female spy realizes she has been discovered while watching the fake reporters. She bolts down the corridor, forcing Ju to abandon stealth and pursue immediately. Xiang and Li join the chase as Ju follows the fleeing watcher upstairs. Ju kicks open the rooftop door, cornering the exhausted watcher beneath open daylight. The three infiltrators surround her and demand an explanation for secretly eavesdropping on them. Trembling, the frightened girl apologizes and desperately insists she heard absolutely nothing at all. Ju presses forward anyway, coldly demanding to know her exact objective for spying today. Panicking beside the railing, she threatens to jump if they take another step. Xiang restrains her intimidating captain and volunteers to handle the terrified student herself. She addresses the girl as Xiang Xiaokan, promising they are not dangerous people. Xiaokan freezes in shock, unable to understand how this stranger knows her name. Xiang simply points out the answer displayed clearly across Xiaokan's school identification badge. The embarrassed student checks her own badge after falling for that effortless trick. Xiang exploits their shared surname, joking that their families separated several centuries ago. After lowering Xiaokan's guard, she gently asks why the student was hiding nearby. Xiaokan cautiously confirms whether these mysterious strangers standing before her truly are professional reporters. Xiang promises justice is their duty and encourages her to reveal any serious trouble. Xiaokan collapses in tears, begging the supposed journalist to save one endangered boy. She warns that unidentified attackers are planning to kill him, instantly changing the mission. Elsewhere, Gao's construction team infiltrates the nearby school cafeteria during the morning meal. Still disguised as workers, they sit openly among residents with full cafeteria trays. Gray Bear admires the surprisingly appetizing warm food and prepares to enjoy breakfast. Zyran stops him, warning that repeated rune cave food may be dangerously unsafe. Gao spots their 3 o'clock target among the students moving through the crowded cafeteria. Gray Bear thinks Niu survived, but Gao identifies the boy as past life Li Zhuanghu. Because Niu's recovered memories opened the rune cave, Gao suspects Li anchors its core event. Before the operatives can approach, another student violently shoves Li forward from behind. Li crashes down, scattering his entire meal while nearby students laugh openly around him. A sneering bully mocks the former calisthenics leader for becoming hopelessly clumsy in public. The blonde ringleader plants his foot on Li and laments wasting perfectly good food. He forces a rice ball into Li's mouth, ordering him to eat while hot. A teacher finally arrives and demands an explanation for the obvious terrifying assault. Yu Pingliang lies smoothly, claiming Li merely fell and they were helping him stand. The blonde accomplice grips Li threateningly, forcing the victim to confirm their story. The teacher warns Yu that another disturbance will bring an immediate call home. Yu performs a completely false apology while pretending he sincerely understands the teacher's warning. Once unobserved, he quietly threatens Li to watch every step from now on. Gray Bear wants revenge, but Ziran questions why faculty allows this obvious abuse. The veterans recognize the bullies use endless dirty tricks that adults struggle to punish. Gao wonders whether past-life victim Li becoming present-life bully Niu represents brutal karma. His radio suddenly receives a coded message from the reporter team across campus. The other infiltrators announce they found a promising lead connected to the core event. Both groups regroup inside the grove beside the playground to exchange intelligence privately. Xiang explains Ziokin and Li rank first and second in Year 3's second class. Yu coveted their class beauty, then blamed Ziokin after his coerced cheating scheme exposed her. His gang dragged Ziokin onto the rooftop for humiliating photographs, where Li unexpectedly intervened. Li confronted the attackers alone and threatened to summon a teacher unless they stopped. Enraged by that defiance, Yu redirected his cruelty toward Li through relentless escalating abuse. Yu even threatened Li's college entrance exam, the impoverished student's only escape from hardship. Days earlier, the despairing Li nearly jumped from the rooftop before Ziokin pulled him back. Gray Bear condemns Yu as an animal, while Ken demands permission to strike him. Gao remains cold, warning everyone this tragedy is merely another predetermined repetition inside the cave. They conclude Li is the core protagonist who once obtained the rune and triggered punishment. Xiang asks whether Gao remembers the bloody message previously discovered near the rooftop tank. Handwriting analysis suggests Li wrote the threat promising to wait for someone in hell. Suddenly, a concealed walkie-talkie rings loudly among the operatives gathered inside the grove. Gao notes everyone is present, leaving only one possible person behind the transmission. Xiang reveals she secretly gave Ziokin a radio to serve as their insider. Gray Bear fears the student could be a beast deliberately luring them into disaster. Ju argues a hostile beast would already have attacked instead of seeking their help. Xiang answers the urgent transmission, carefully confirming whether Ziokin is speaking on the other end. Ziokin reports Li and Yu's entire group vanished during lunch, alarming their teacher. Since nobody can escape the rune cave, the teams know the core disaster is beginning. Gao notes their adult covers prevent everyone from searching the campus freely without attracting suspicion. Xiang warns the administration already dislikes them and may expel the entire fake press team. Ken suddenly interrupts, announcing she has devised a brilliant solution for their mobility problem. She observes Gao looks far more like a student than any other operative present. Gao immediately notices Ken carefully and deliberately excluded herself from that embarrassing comparison. Gray Bear understands her scheme. Disguise Gao as a student and send him after Li Ken argues that even if discovered, nobody would suspect a seemingly ordinary classmate. Gao hates operating powerless and alone, but accepts their only viable option despite lacking a uniform. Xiang suggests simply finding a male student and borrowing his clothing for the disguise. The team quickly corners a suitable student, with Xiang claiming only he can help. The unsuspecting boy politely asks Xiang what unexpected favor she needs from him. She bluntly requests his clothes, instantly turning the innocent conversation into terrifying confusion. The flustered student protests that despite being 18, this situation feels deeply inappropriate. Before he can escape, the entire intimidating group closes around him from every direction. The surrounded boy panics and demands to know what these strangers intend to do with him. Gray Bear calls him little brother and promises his frightening uncle means no harm. The student's horrified refusal echoes outside as the operatives forcibly acquire his uniform. Moments later, the unfortunate donor lies stripped and gagged inside a nearby room. Gao emerges wearing the uniform perfectly, casually whistling while carrying his concealed radio. Ken proudly declares her captain now looks practically identical to a real high school student. Gao clears his throat awkwardly after the uniform heist, refusing to acknowledge Ken's teasing. He heads out alone while his teammates wish their suddenly younger captain safe hunting. Gao's search eventually leads him toward the large student dormitory building nearby on campus. Having cleared the teaching building, he begins checking dorm rooms as the final remaining zone. Gao logically starts downstairs, knowing upperclassmen normally occupy the lower floors for convenience. Inside one room, he notices a discarded uniform draped carelessly across the furniture. Gao suspects these are the clothes Li changed after his humiliating cafeteria assault. Finding the door unlocked, he quietly slips inside to search for further evidence. The messy room appears empty, but approaching voices reveal several students sneaking nearby. One predicts Lee returned secretly, until another voice identifies Yu Pingliang entering instead. Yu kicks through the doorway and loudly demands that Li Zhuanghu reveal himself. Finding nobody, the bullies realize Li should not have returned from their earlier trap. Hidden beneath a bed, Gao learns Yu's group plans to remain and play cards. During their game, the bullies mock Li for supposedly falling for unattractive Xiaokin. Yu wins a round with paired jokers while viciously insulting both students as garbage. One accomplice wonders whether pushing Li harder might finally force something desperate tonight. Yu mocks the concern, refusing to fear someone he considers a helpless coward. Another bully admits Li recently stopped sleeping, hid beneath blankets, and developed vicious eyes. A witness even saw blood-red light flashing beneath Li's blanket during those episodes. Gao realizes Li may already possess the rune circuit, confirming him as the core. Li unexpectedly enters his dorm room, shocking Yu and the gang surrounding their card table. With exhausted restraint, Li asks Yu Pingliang whether he can finally leave him alone. Yu refuses completely, vowing to destroy every remaining part of Li's miserable future. He promises to ruin Li's college chances and leave him collecting garbage forever. When Yu reaches for him again, Li finally blocks the bully and demands distance. Yu explodes with disbelief that his longtime victim openly dared to fight back. Li escapes the dorm as Yu charges after him through campus, screaming murderous threats. Gao radios the team that he found Li running toward the teaching building. Moments later, terrified cries of murder pull Gao urgently toward the rooftop above. There, a student lies dead inside a spreading pool of his own blood. Horrified witnesses surround Li and accuse him of brutally murdering the fallen boy. Li desperately denies starting the fight, insisting he killed only while defending himself. Gao spots the likely rune circuit, a brutal axe-like weapon glowing with a red eye. He orders Li to discard the dangerous weapon immediately and listen to him carefully. Consumed by pulsing crimson energy, Li refuses while standing directly over the corpse. A bloodied witness confirms Li as the attacker, intensifying the gathering crowd's panic. The accusation sends Li deeper into rage, blaming the dead bully for everything. Gao shouts again for Li to throw away the corrupting weapon before disaster spreads. Another student steps closer across the bloodied rooftop, tightening pressure around the cornered Li. Li raises the rune weapon defensively and warns everyone nearby to stay back. Gao promises to help, but Li recoils because he has already taken a life. Breaking down, Li asks why honest effort never earned him freedom or a better future. Gao agrees the bullies deserve punishment, then begs Li not to sacrifice himself. Li quietly accepts Gao's words, carefully lowering everyone's guard for one terrible instant. Declaring the entire world deserves death, Li suddenly hurls himself toward the rooftop edge. Gao screams Li's name as the desperate student suddenly bends across the railing. Before anyone can grab him, Li plunges from the rooftop with the rune circuit. Xiaokin helplessly witnesses the horrifying fall and releases a scream of absolute terror. Students below discover the body and frantically shout that someone jumped from above. Gao radios his team that Li fell beside the teaching building carrying the rune circuit. News of a senior jumping races through the corridors as Gao charges downstairs. A crowd rapidly surrounds the fallen body while Gao and Grey Bear approach. Gao orders Grey Bear to display his police identification and secure the scene immediately. Claiming police authority, the operatives force a clear path through the frightened students. Before they arrive, the supposedly dead student's bloodied fingers suddenly twitch against the concrete. A stunned witness notices the movement and shouts in horror that the corpse moved. The revived student then bolts upright, sending the crowd into screaming, uncontrolled panic. He savagely bites nearby students while everyone realizes the corpse is attacking people. Gao immediately senses the resurrection is dangerously wrong and braces himself for chaos. Multiple bloodied bodies now litter the courtyard, yet Gao cannot locate Li among them. The first corpse snarls before Gao and Grey Bear as the red-eyed weapon pulses nearby. Crimson veins surge across surrounding bodies, raising every fallen victim as another monster. A reanimated student's blank eyes flare white as its bloody mouth opens wide. Another revived corpse drags itself through its blood, gnashing ravenously at living prey. Across the courtyard, every motionless body begins twitching and clawing back toward life. Horrified students recognize identical blank stares as the newly risen crowd closes in. One zombie unleashes a feral roar, confirming the impossible outbreak has fully begun. Gao names the threat for what it is: zombies already charging from every direction. He orders everyone to run immediately before the advancing dead can surround them. When Grey Bear demands a destination, Gao chooses the nearby abandoned construction site. Their direct route is blocked by even more zombies flooding the school grounds. Panic explodes everywhere as bloodied students chase former friends through the packed corridors. One infected boy barrels forward with dead eyes, viciously targeting a fleeing classmate. The newly turned attacker catches his companion and brutally sinks teeth into him. The victim pleads with brother Liang to remember their bond, but recognition is gone. His zombified friend ignores every appeal and savages him against the corridor floor. Ken realizes bites transmit infection rapidly enough to turn the entire school monstrous. A blood-soaked zombie slips behind Ken while she explains the terrifying spread pattern. Gao sees it first, shouts a warning, and yanks Ken out of reach. The attacker lunges through empty space, missing Ken by only a single heartbeat. Gao drags Kan onward, ordering her to keep pace as snarls multiply behind them. Yet another wave crowds the hallway ahead, turning their escape into a deadly gauntlet. The teaching building collapses into slaughter as infected students overwhelm every floor and stairwell. One blood-covered zombie staggers alone through the haze, listening for fresh prey nearby. Its eyes ignite red when it spots Gao, locking instantly onto his movement. Gao whips a fire extinguisher like a club, smashing the infected boy aside with raw force. Reaching teammates by a locked room, Gao orders everyone inside before the next wave arrives. The sealed door resists, and smashing it would only attract even more zombies. A bald operative confidently steps forward, promising his criminal experience can solve the lock. Using improvised tools, the former burglar picks the mechanism while Ju teases his embarrassing past. Before escape opens, two more zombies rush straight down the corridor toward the group. Gao commands their formation to hold, avoid bites, and destroy heads as infected slam forward. Jiu and Black Sparrow face the charging pair, ready to protect the sealed doorway. Someone warns the blonde captain as a zombie nearly seizes him from his blind side. Black Sparrow intercepts with a lightning-fast strike, knocking the attacker away before it can bite. She follows with a brutal kick, dismissing the creature like an inconvenience beneath her notice. Grabbing the zombie's skull bare-handed, she declares the threat effortless and crushes it down. Ju watches the corpse hit the floor while Black Sparrow stands calmly over her victory. The supposedly finished zombie springs upright again, briefly surprising even the seasoned vice-captain. She counters instantly, smashing the undead attacker's head against the edge with decisive force. Black Sparrow turns away from the battered corpse, convinced her last counter finally ended it. A bespectacled operative scolds her, explaining only destroyed brains guarantee permanent zombie death. He warns neck-breaking, invites bites, and asks whether she understands even basic zombie rules. Black Sparrow admits she has never bothered watching zombie movies, stunning her teammate. Her memories reveal training and competition consumed the time others spent watching entertainment. Despite embarrassment, she thanks him for the lesson and he quickly waves gratitude away. Nearby, Gao kicks another attacker aside, but teammates note the zombie's unnaturally thick skin. Ju sends a short blade spinning across the corridor, offering a better weapon for the emergency. He catches a second blade cleanly, preparing to cut through the next charging corpse. Ju argues blades suit the situation better, earning eager agreement from the bald lockpicker. Another zombie lunges directly behind Ju before Celebration can distract the nearby defenders. Ju drives the blade straight into the attacker's forehead, forcing its bloody point deep inside. Even Steel struggles against the reinforced skull, cracking bone only after a vicious shove. Grey Bear flexes his sore hand and curses how impossibly hard these zombie skulls feel. The bald lockpicker snaps another zombie's neck and boasts his kill count leads by 2. Gao crushes one with the extinguisher while Grey Bear mocks their competition during the crisis. Still swinging, Gao demands to know whether the locked escape door is open. Grey Bear restrains a zombie and berates the lockpicker for working slowly enough to get arrested. The lock finally clicks. The operative orders everyone inside immediately before the horde closes. Gao and Grey Bear shove remaining attackers back while their teammates flood through the doorway. The last defenders dive inside, and Gao slams the door shut directly before grasping hands. Grey Bear praises Gao's stamina without talents. Gao credits his relentless daily exercise routine. Together, the team shoves a heavy cabinet across the entrance, creating a desperate barricade. Once the room steadies, Kan spots a shadowed figure hiding silently across the chamber. A terrified woman in a white medical coat stands frozen beside the sunlit windows. Ju draws his blade and demands the stranger identify herself, with Xiangdai backing him. The woman recoils toward the window, clearly believing the operatives will execute her. Dropping to the floor, she begs for her life and swears she means no harm. Gao identifies her as the school doctor, likely uninfected, and orders teammates to restrain her. The doctor pleads she cannot die because her daughter waits at home alone. Grey Bear commands silence, warning her panicked voice will attract every zombie nearby. Understanding the danger, the doctor immediately quiets down and promises total cooperation now. From the window, Gao surveys the campus now swallowed by roaming infected students. Below, scattered rune zombies stagger between buildings, searching relentlessly for remaining survivors everywhere. Kan asks her captain for a plan as the rest of the team catches breath. Gao answers with a single objective: find Li Zhuanghu before the outbreak consumes everyone. The bespectacled operative agrees, certain the rune circuit caused this entire violent catastrophe. He theorizes Li became the controlling boss, commanding every lesser zombie through the circuit. Gao rejects the viral theory and names these puppets rune zombies, controlled by the artifact's power. Grey Bear appreciates the name because it makes the disgusting monsters sound slightly less repulsive. Xiangdai reasons destroying Lei and removing the circuit should deactivate every rune zombie. Kan points out the brutal obstacle. The powerless team is surrounded and cannot locate the target. Gao silently offers a simple demonstration, picking up a small metal container from the nearby table. Without warning, he hurls it straight through the window while Kan cries out. Both watch the object tumble toward the courtyard, its purpose still completely unclear to Kan. The container crashes among the zombies, producing a sharp noise that instantly catches their attention. Every rune zombie pivots toward the impact, proving Gao's observation with terrifying precision. Kan still does not understand and asks what exactly her captain discovered there. Gao mercilessly calls her the team's intellectual weak link before explaining the obvious pattern. Gao reveals rune zombies are completely blind and hunt entirely by sound alone. Therefore, noise can draw the swarm away, letting the team retrieve supplies before hunting. Lee can accepts the logic but questions how they can create noise loud enough campus-wide. Gao reminds her they stand inside a school, directing attention toward the obvious solution. Ken finally realizes the school bell can summon every listening zombie at once. Gray Bear celebrates Ken solving the riddle, affectionately teasing the team's slow thinker. Ken admits the bell always wakes her because she habitually sleeps through classes. The school bell rings at fixed intervals but continues for only 20 brief seconds. Gao plans to sprint toward the broadcast room during the window, then play music to maintain distraction. The bald lockpicker warns nobody knows the broadcast room's location and its door may be sealed. Worse, 20 seconds cannot possibly carry them across the zombie-filled school before the bell stops. Gray Bear admits the remaining obstacles demand clear information, so Gao approaches the doctor directly. The frightened doctor asks what he intends, clutching the papers like her last protection. She offers her will for her daughter, recalling their promised amusement park trip coming Sunday. Gao realizes she is a lost one trapped by the way of Kang's still loving family. Instead of harming her, Gao asks the exact broadcast room location and whether its door is locked. The doctor explains the fifth-floor office is locked. Its key waits inside the unlocked second-floor dean's office. Gao requests a clear map and the relieved doctor hurriedly sketches the safest route. His plan grabs the key downstairs, returns to the infirmary, then launches at the next bell. Ju calls a sprint to the fifth floor within 20 seconds unrealistic and starts assigning personnel. Black Sparrow breaks furniture into wooden clubs, arming the groups for brutal hallway crossings. Ju pairs himself with Black Sparrow as one of the coordinated movement groups. Another pair, including Mamba, accepts the vital assignment while Gao finalizes the routes. Gray Bear asks to accompany his captain personally, unwilling to let Gao face the horde alone. Gao refuses because the mission depends on speed, confidence, and first-class ability to slip away. Gray Bear reluctantly promises a rescue team if Gao remains absent 10 minutes after the second bell. Gao rejects rescue, warning a failed mission means reinforcements would enter the same deadly trap. He orders survivors never to feed themselves individually into the horde searching for fallen teammates. As teams ready their weapons, Gao and Gray Bear listen tensely for the starting bell. The expected time passes. A bespectacled operative checks his watch and wonders why classes have not ended. At last, the bell erupts, instantly pulling every nearby rune zombie toward the ringing speakers. Someone carefully turns the barricaded door handle while the bell continues echoing outside. Gao orders every group ready, listening for the exact moment the zombies fully disperse. Ken gives her captain a final uncertain look, knowing the next dash could kill him. They exchange sincere good luck wishes before Gao turns toward the lethal corridor ahead. On the signal, assigned operatives explode through the doorway and sprint across the exposed hall. Rune zombies still roam their path, drawn unpredictably between the fading bell echoes. Gao smashes through the nearest attacker with his extinguisher, refusing to lose a precious second. More hollow faces crowd in, their red-black eyes locking onto every accidental sound. Mamba draws his knife and halts when zombies block the route toward the dean's office. Gao realizes their objective lies beyond a dense cluster they cannot circle before the bell stops. Mamba grips his weapon and deliberately creates noise, making a desperate decision for the team. When Gao objects, Mamba declares he will lure every zombie away by himself. The nearest pack immediately surrounds Mamba, jaws opening as the intended target changes. Mamba shouts a challenge from the opposite corridor, ensuring the entire cluster hears him. Every rune zombie surges after him, clearing the route for Gao at terrible cost. Mamba runs at full speed while roaring his location, dragging the snarling army behind him. Gao and the remaining operatives seize the opening, racing up the stairwell toward the second floor. Forced to continue, Gao silently orders Mamba to survive the sacrifice and promises to remember it. The team reaches the dean's office door just before the distraction collapses behind them. Gao bursts inside as his teammates urgently command him to find the broadcast key. Inside the office, an armed man suddenly ambushes Gao from behind and orders absolute stillness. Ju freezes at the doorway while the gunman holds Gao under a pistol threat. Recognizing Director Dai, Ju warns him to stay back before fear causes a shooting. Gao moves faster, twists the weapon away, and leaves Dai begging not to be shot. Inspecting the pistol, Gao realizes it is a harmless replica rather than a useful firearm. He dryly mourns the lost firepower while keeping the fake gun for possible deception. Dai collapses against the wall, begging the operatives to spare him and lower their weapons. The terrified Dean invokes his elderly parents and children, insisting he cannot die here. Ju and Black Sparrow arrive, ordering Dai quiet before his screams summon zombies outside. Dai repeats the unfamiliar term rune zombies, desperate to understand what invaded the school. Gao explains the victims become possessed, attack people, and turn anyone they bite. He calmly asks Dai whether any attacker has bitten him during the outbreak. Dai emphatically denies infection, raising both hands and pleading that they believe him. Gao reveals the key and plans to race back to the infirmary when the next bell rings. Dai desperately asks to join their escape, abandoning his office and the remaining school defenses. Black Sparrow refuses, certain the frightened administrator would slow everyone down far too much. Dai promises he runs surprisingly fast and will never become a burden there. Ju accepts under a ruthless condition. Anyone falling behind receives no rescue whatsoever. Outside, the infected campus waits in deceptive sunlight while the next bell approaches. When the opening arrives, Ju leads the group and Dai down the stairwell at full speed. On the stairwell, Ju confronts another infected student blocking the path toward the infirmary. The zombie lunges with red-black eyes blazing, forcing immediate combat in the narrow stairwell. Ju swings the wooden club across his body, channeling remaining strength without a talent. The brutal strike folds the attacker sideways and clears enough space for the group to continue. Gao smashes a second zombie aside mid-run, never allowing the formation to lose momentum. Black Sparrow bounds upstairs first while Gao urges the slower Dai to keep pace. Dai steps into pooled blood, slips violently, and cries for the others to wait. He crashes down the stairwell beside a fallen zombie, leaving himself completely exposed. To Dai's horror, the still-moving infected crawls directly toward the helpless administrator below. The corpse grabs him and nearly bites his face as Dai screams for desperate help. Gao whirls back despite the deadline, raising his extinguisher for a rescue strike. One explosive blow knocks the zombie away before its teeth fully reach Dai. The attacker sprawls in spreading blood, finally motionless after Gao's crushing rescue impact. Gao orders Dai to stand immediately. The grateful Dean showers his rescuer with thanks. Dai limps onward supported by Gao, saving his breath while a bloody foot slows him. The exhausted group reaches the infirmary and announces their return, bringing the key and shaken Dai. Teammates pull them inside and slam the door before another wave discovers their refuge. Ju confirms the successful key retrieval, and the room briefly celebrates their smooth victory. Gray Bear immediately notices Mamba missing and demands to know his teammate's current location. Gao explains Mamba diverted the blocking zombies and fled toward the first floor alone. Gray Bear slams his fist into the wall. Furious Mamba was abandoned during the successful retreat. The bespectacled operative assures Uncle Xing that Mamba is a parkour master even without talents. Still angry, Gray Bear points at Dai and demands they identify the unexpected civilian. The school doctor recognizes him immediately, calling out Teacher Dai with surprised relief. Dai embraces Teacher Li, grateful another faculty member survived the campus collapse intact. Teacher Lee tearfully recalls the many teachers and students who disappeared or died. Ken suddenly darkens, realizing their apparent success conceals a lethal problem still nearby. Gray Bear notices her alarm and demands she explain what she saw immediately. Ken points silently toward Dai's blood-soaked foot, exposing the source of her dread. The torn shoe reveals a mangled, bleeding foot consistent with a recent zombie bite. Dai realizes he was bitten yet feels no pain, instantly triggering horrified disbelief. He desperately insists the nightmare cannot be real while infection begins stealing his sanity. Reading Dai's condition, Ju quietly apologizes before preparing to perform the immediate necessary execution. Ju swings the wooden club toward Dai's head, intending to stop the transformation instantly. Teacher Lee intercepts the strike, and panicked Dai scrambles behind her protection desperately. Dai grabs the doctor, screaming he does not want to die as terror consumes him. Gao tries to calm Dai, promising the team wants to treat rather than kill him. Instead, Dai secretly draws a blade behind Teacher Lee's back with shaking hands. He presses the knife against her throat and threatens to kill someone if approached. Teacher Lee freezes beneath the blade, realizing her infected colleague now holds her hostage. Gray Bear displays his police badge, promising nobody will harm Dai if the knife is lowered. Following the de-escalation plan, the armed operatives visibly lower their clubs while watching the hostage carefully. Ju orders everyone to disarm, and the trembling Dai finally says he believes them. Dai apologizes to Teacher Lei, claiming pure fear drove the threat and he never intended harm. Gao accepts the explanation and calmly asks Dai to surrender the knife handle first. The blade clatters harmlessly across the floor, seeming to resolve the hostage crisis for one heartbeat. Then the rune infection erupts, twisting Dai's face and overwhelming his remaining humanity. The newly transformed Dai bites deep into Teacher Lee's shoulder before anyone reacts. Ju answers instantly with a brutal, crushing club strike across Dai's corrupted face. The blow tears the zombie from his victim and sends him crashing across the infirmary. Ju advances without hesitation, raising his splintered club for the final execution blow. He drives the wood through Dai's skull, destroying the brain before another attack. Dai collapses dead against the wall while wounded Teacher Lee stares at spreading blood. Knowing her bite is fatal, Teacher Lee asks to execute herself before transformation. She refuses to let anyone else bear responsibility and prepares to end her own life. Gray Bear hesitates as Teacher Lee insists she will handle her inevitable death herself. Before dying, she solemnly entrusts her bloodied will and daughters addressed to him. Gray Bear accepts the papers and promises to deliver her final message if they escape. Teacher Lee admits her deepest fear is leaving her very young daughter alone. Gray Bear comforts her, promising the child will grow safely, healthy, and loved. Gao privately knows Teacher Lee's daughter no longer exists, erased by the way of Kang. Still, the merciful Lai allows the doomed doctor to face death without crushing regrets. Teacher Lee accepts the reassurance, smiling as she imagines her daughter growing safely. A final violent sound ends her life, leaving the hardened operatives stunned into silence. Gao breaks the grief by rallying everyone and demanding they pull themselves together. Gray Bear agrees the nightmare has many levels and the team only cleared the first. Gao confirms the plan remains unchanged. The next bell sends them to the 5th floor broadcast room. Before moving, he orders a complete physical inspection to expose any hidden bite. Gao refuses to let the tragedy repeat because someone conceals or misses a wound. Behind a makeshift screen, Xiang Dai strips down while Ken carefully checks her body. Ken reacts with embarrassed surprise during the inspection, momentarily breaking the grim mood. Xiangdai anxiously assumes the reaction means a hidden bite, demanding an immediate answer. Ken admits it was a false alarm, saying Xiangdai's body merely startled her. Xiangdai blushes when Ken openly praises her physique instead of finding an injury. Elsewhere, the bespectacled operative removes his trousers reluctantly for the same mandatory examination. Grey Bear impatiently orders everyone to finish checking and stop wasting precious time. Night falls as the cleared team gathers near the stairwell, armed and ready for the next bell. Gao repeats the operation starts with the bell and they have only 20 seconds to move. He orders absolute silence along the route since any sound redirects nearby hunters. If encountered, everyone must remain calm because rune zombies here but cannot see. Moving silently, Ken bumps into Black Sparrow's back when the group abruptly stops. Rubbing her forehead, Ken wonders why everyone suddenly halted during their time descent. Gao finds the fourth-floor passage bloodied and obstructed by someone's failed anti-zombie barricade. Carrying the extinguisher, Gao warns everyone to cross carefully without making a single sound. Grey Bear spots the heavy obstacle and realizes their narrow timing is collapsing. He can carefully shift the barricade aside, hurrying without letting it scrape. The team threads past two standing rune zombies while gripping improvised weapons tightly. Gao realizes earlier delays consumed their window just as the school bell fades. The final chime ends, and nearby red-eyed zombies begin listening for new prey. Gao instantly raises a hand, commanding every teammate to freeze exactly where they stand. Every operative stops breathing and moving, turning the corridor into a deadly still photograph. Two rune zombies stand frighteningly close, searching the silence with sharpened hearing senses. One shuffles toward Grey Bear and while she clamps both hands over her mouth. The blind creature brushes Grey Bear's arm, testing the motionless giant from inches away. Sweat rolls down Grey Bear's face as he forces every muscle to remain perfectly still. A small piece of debris suddenly clatters across the floor, pulling attention away. The nearest zombie immediately pivots toward the distant sound instead of attacking Grey Bear. Its red eyes flare as a violent roar summons the other listening corpses. The zombies charge after the noise, finally clearing the operative's immediate path forward. Grey Bear suddenly crushes a straggler, refusing to let another hidden bite repeat Dai's tragedy. Gao joins the melee, smashing another zombie's jaw before it can reach anyone. He nervously checks himself, wondering whether the sudden attack left him bitten anywhere. Their noise awakens the surrounding corpses, and several immediately converge on the group. Ju charges forward with his wooden club, shouting as the corridor erupts into battle. Gao braces a heavy desk against the rushing horde, buying teammates precious seconds. Black Sparrow drives a long pole into one zombie's face with ruthless precision. Ju follows by hammering another skull, his improvised club landing like a battering ram. A teammate warns the corridor is packed too densely for them to break through. Xiangdai immediately orders nearby fighters to reinforce 7 shadows before he gets overwhelmed. Gao admits the relentless numbers are beyond what he can hold back alone. Zombies slam against his desk, forcing Gao backward as he yells a warning. A sharpened pole suddenly punches through an attacker's neck, stopping its snapping jaws cold. A muscular teammate storms into the corridor and crushes a zombie beneath a chair. His savage return blasts the corpse aside and relieves pressure on Grey Bear. Grey Bear demands who guards the rear, but the newcomer entrusted it elsewhere. Zyran, Kan, and Ronnie appear behind him, hauling another desk into position. Fresh rune zombies howl and surge toward the improvised defensive line together violently. Ronnie swings her metal pole and challenges every corpse to come die fighting. Ken shoves the desk into them, screaming that she will fight until death. Ju cleaves another attacker down, declaring their barricade absolutely must hold this position. Encouraged by reinforcements, Gao calls everyone to combine their strength for one final push. He roars for a breakthrough, transforming the desperate defense into an organized countercharge. On Gao's countdown, the operatives heave their desks forward together, crushing back the horde. Their explosive surge reaches the blood-smeared broadcast room door on the 5th floor. Ju orders someone to open it immediately while the others keep pushing zombies back. A bald operative produces the recovered key, giving the trapped team its opening. Grey Bear strains against the barricade, roaring for everyone to hold just a little longer. The key turns and the reinforced door finally swings open behind their defense. Ju commands everyone inside as the exhausted fighters abandon the collapsing barricade at once. The operatives sprint through the doorway while rune zombies scramble over fallen desks behind them. A lead corpse screams at the retreating survivors, sensing its prey escaping again. The horde lunges desperately, but the final teammates slip beyond their reaching hands. Heavy impacts hammer the closed door as trapped zombies rage outside the room. Inside, Gao and Grey Bear stare in disbelief, realizing their battered squad survived. Relief fades when Grey Bear admits he has no idea how Mamba fares. Zyran insists the veteran will survive because Mamba is brutally strong enough. Ken collapses dramatically, claiming any death should take useless trash like her first. Another teammate rejects that despair and asks Captain Gao whether everyone can escape alive. Gao answers without hesitation, promising this squad will leave absolutely nobody behind ever. Re-energized, Ken vows 3 sleepless gaming days and unlimited credit spending on hero skins. Zyran dreams about endless sleep, while Ronnie wants an all-night karaoke celebration. Ken asks Gao about his wish, and he simply wants dinner with family. Gao notices Ju staring across the room and asks what suddenly troubles him. Ju sees Xiangdai slumped against the wall, clutching her chest weakly nearby. Her eyes widen as breathing collapses, revealing a dangerously severe medical crisis unfolding. Ju recognizes an asthma attack and rushes toward Xiangdai in alarm immediately. The team searches for her inhaler but learns she dropped it during their escape. Ju orders old Kaio to start broadcasting while he prepares a suicidal backtrack. Old Kaio reports the ancient wiring needs repairs before any sound can play. Black Sparrow warns they cannot wait because Xiangdai is rapidly suffocating nearby. Gasping helplessly, Xiangdai tries stopping her comrades from risking themselves for her. A muscular fighter volunteers to retrieve the inhaler from the zombie-filled hall immediately. Ju restrains him, declaring that corridor certain death with the entire horde outside. Ominous pounding against the door reminds everyone exactly how trapped they are now. Gao produces a fearless alternative after spotting the room's thin partition wall nearby. He explains the partition leads into a utility room, then orders Grey Bear through. Grey Bear answers by smashing his massive shoulder straight through the wall instantly. Gao plans stacking utility furniture into defenses before deliberately drawing hallway zombies inside. Holding the extinguisher, Gao checks whether every fighter is ready for the diversion. The squad spreads through the utility room, gripping desks, brooms, and debris confidently. Gao quietly opens the utility door, exposing the dark hallway beyond their barricade. At his signal, the defenders create thunderous noise, drawing rune zombies toward them. Gao orders everyone hold position while Ronnie loudly insults every approaching corpse gleefully. With the hallway clearing, Gao offers a muscular teammate backup for the inhaler run. The two fighters arm themselves with long metal poles before entering the corridor. Gao argues two people covering each other raises success odds and earns grateful acceptance. They advance together, ordering the others to hold every diverted zombie back fiercely. The muscular fighter spots Xiangdai's inhaler lying across the empty-looking hallway ahead. Gao suddenly grabs his shoulder and whispers for him to wait one moment. Three silent rune zombies stand directly between them and the fallen inhaler nearby. Refusing delay, the muscular fighter declares he will make the retrieval himself now. Gao grips his pole and coordinates a split-second opening for the dash forward. Together they creep toward the motionless corpses, each step risking instant discovery nearby. Gao steals himself behind the weapon, knowing this rescue attempt absolutely must succeed. His partner crouches and stretches desperately toward the inhaler on the floor nearby. A tiny scrape betrays him and one zombie snaps toward the sound instantly. Realizing time is gone, the fighter lunges for the inhaler without hesitation now. A rune zombie seizes him from behind before his fingers can escape fully. Gao blasts its skull with the metal pole, shouting for his partner to run. Another corpse clamps its teeth into the fighter's shoulder, turning rescue into catastrophe. Gao stares in horror, finally recognizing the doomed volunteer as teammate Lian. Lian pins the attacker and commands Gao to take the inhaler quickly. Clutching the medicine, Gao races back, screaming for Xiangdai to survive this. After breathing relief, Xiangdai breaks down, believing Lian's sacrifice is her fault. Gao firmly tells her Lian knowingly chose this rescue for himself alone. Old Kaio announces the broadcast repaired and demands they insert the tape before leaving. Gao explains music grants 30 minutes to resupply, then hunt Li Zhuanghu down. A hand loads the cassette into the aging deck for their final gamble. Old Kaio presses play, sending the system live across the entire campus instantly. Gao marches from the room and coldly declares the operation has begun now. Rooftop speakers awaken beneath moonlight, carrying music over every infected floor at once. The eerie song pulls rune zombies into marching toward its irresistible sound together. Gao's squad moves out through the cleared route, racing against the cassette clock. Grey Bear abruptly signals stop after spotting Lian's blood-soaked body collapsed ahead. Lian lies curled on the floor, bleeding heavily after his sacrifice alone. Crimson corruption floods his face as the fatal bite triggers transformation at last. The returning team freezes and Grey Bear calls Lian's name desperately aloud. Xiangdai can watch in anguish, knowing he saved them both tonight. Fully transformed, Lian rises with blackened eyes, roaring at his former comrades. A merciful weapon strike instantly pierces his skull before he can attack anyone. Ju stands guard over Lian's remains while Xiangdai mourns behind him. Tears stream down Xiangdai's face as the broadcast song echoes her guilt. She forces herself onward, carrying Li En's memory into the remaining mission ahead. Below the speakers, tightly packed zombies claw upward, hypnotized by the music together. Gao's team sprints past distracted corpses, exploiting the narrow route towards safety ahead. One nearby zombie twitches as the moving operatives unexpectedly disturb its fragile trance. Gao glances back, sensing the music is no longer controlling every corpse completely. Several red-eyed monsters turn from the speakers, trapping the squad between converging groups. Surrounded, Gao plants himself among them, refusing to let the formation collapse there. He shouts for everyone to run while stronger fighters cover their escape immediately. The awakened zombies surge from every direction with arms raised for slaughter again. A charging corpse slams into Ju, sending the blonde captain tumbling backward hard. Gao smashes another attacker aside and promises his team will cover the rear. Grey Bear spots more zombies blocking their front, realizing the squad is surrounded. Gao braces a desk against snapping mouths but admits the pressure is impossible. A violent impact sends Kan flying away from the failing defensive line nearby. A rune zombie immediately lunges after her, reaching with blood-smeared hands from behind. Kan crashes down hard, screaming for help as the monster catches her ankle. Its grip tightens, dragging the terrified gamer back toward the hungry pack nearby. Another teammate's pole cracks across one zombie's face, buying can another heartbeat to escape. Can battles from the floor, using her pole to keep clawing hands away. Gao orders a retreat, realizing their exhausted formation cannot endure another minute there. As monsters crowd around him, Gao fears the entire operation is finished now. A thrown blade suddenly buries itself in the nearest zombie's skull from above. Gao recognizes the impossible rescue while Grey Bear realizes exactly who returned tonight. Mamba sprints down the wall alive, cursing the team for doubting him again. The veteran crashes into the horde, scattering zombies beneath his descending momentum hard. Landing confidently, Mamba says he has been waiting for these survivors all along. Gao seizes the opening and orders everyone sprint toward the construction site immediately. They finally reach the fortified building, earning a temporary island of safety inside. Gao grants 10 minutes to drink, eat, and inspect every body for wounds. Xiang Dai hesitantly alerts 7 shadows about something wrong with Qin behind them. Grey Bear reveals a suspicious wound has appeared across the gamer's leg recently. Gao demands certainty, asking whether rune teeth definitely caused the injury on her. Xiang Dai cannot confirm and Qin remembers nothing, but everyone fears infection already. Gao volunteers to handle the worst possibility if her teammates cannot face it. Ziran angrily refuses abandoning Qin while even one chance of innocence remains. Gao stops the argument and asks Mamba for 5 private minutes with Can. Qin sits isolated beside a water bottle, trembling and crying in darkness alone. Seeing Gao approach, she tearfully asks whether her captain came to kill her. Gao extends one hand through the darkness, making Qin recoil from his silhouette. Curled tightly, she repeats the terrified question whether he came to execute her. Gao kneels and gently rests his palm on the trembling girl's head instead. Smiling softly, he says he only came inside to keep her company tonight. Qin swears she is not lying and truly cannot explain the wound herself. Gao tells her not to fear and asks permission to inspect it closely. Still shaking, Qin stretches out her injured leg beneath the dim light carefully. Gao sees a clean shallow scrape, nothing resembling the punctures of teeth anywhere. Relief breaks Qin's voice as she tries thanking her captain through tears softly. Yet Gao secretly tightens his grip on the weapon, remembering how quickly infection turns. Qin mistakes his silence for doubt and begs desperately not to die tonight. Her plea detonates Gao's memories of helplessly losing innocent women this way before. Blood-soaked faces from his past surround him, forcing that nightmare open again inside. Qin sobs that she cannot become a rune zombie or man-eating monster ever. Gao finally assures her the wound is clean and likely only a scrape. Then Qin admits her chest feels tight while the room spins around her. Gao's relief vanishes as he calls her name, fearing another sudden crisis nearby. Qin asks him to hold her so she will not die alone there. Gao accepts and embraces her, turning panic into one unexpectedly tender moment together. Against his chest, Qin confesses Gao is exactly her preferred type anyway romantically. Qin explains her avoidant attachment and begs Gao never return her affection romantically. Believing death inevitable, she says fear is gone and permits whatever comes next. Gao answers by throwing his weapon away, where it clatters harmlessly beside them. Qin stares in confusion, unable to understand why her executioner disarmed himself now. Gao reveals the turning window already passed while her pulse never spiked once. She still feels dizzy and miserable, but no monstrous symptoms actually appear anywhere. Gao suspects low blood sugar and Qin sheepishly confirms the obvious diagnosis herself. Realizing her dramatic confession was unnecessary, Qin screams internally over complete social suicide. Gao warns her to keep quiet before embarrassment attracts every nearby rune zombie. They return together and Qin cheerfully announces her survival to the team inside. Grey Bear scolds the little rascal while Ronnie warmly welcomes her back again. Qin smugly reveals she overheard everything and claims Ziran worried about her most. She assures Ziran she is fine and he need not worry anymore. Gao suddenly stops Can, noticing Ziran's strangely motionless posture by the window. Both stare as the bespectacled operative remains facing outside without turning around once. Gao reasons Ziran should feel relieved, yet his unnaturally calm reaction terrifies him. Ziran finally turns, revealing bloody scratches and a sickly expression behind glasses. Qin falters upon seeing her closest teammate looking visibly damaged and wrong inside. Ziran insists he only feels dizzy from low blood sugar himself too. Gao instantly orders Ziran not to move, sensing hidden danger behind the excuse. Mamba steps between Can and Ziran, promising to make the end quick. Still lucid, Ziran protests their comrades who should never abandon one another. Crimson darkness swallows his eyes as he clutches his skull through transformation violently. Ziran becomes a rune zombie and unleashes one agonized roar at last. Mamba flashes past with ruthless speed, slicing the transformed man's neck wide open. The veteran sheathes his knife while Ziran staggers behind him, bleeding heavily. For one final instant, Ziran regains himself before collapsing to the floor. Gao remembers first meeting the gentle operative who introduced himself simply and warmly. Ziran's broken glasses land in blood, leaving his name as farewell behind. Outside the silent school, the ongoing song makes grief feel even colder tonight. Ronnie stands over Ziran's covered body while the survivors mourn around him. Ken asks through tears why Death had to choose Iran this time. Gray Bear forces everyone onward, warning their precious music window is closing fast. Ronnie recalls Iran was her only friend when she joined Killin originally. Their shared curiosity about the terminal once bound two lonely recruits together closely. Ronnie asks Gao to survive and witness the truth should she die too. Gao solemnly promises he will carry every fallen comrade's memory forward with him. The survivors reach the construction parking area where abandoned cars wait in rows. Gao unveils his next move, ordering everyone to drain gasoline from them immediately. Gray Bear questions the detour since their mission requires hunting Li Juanghu down. Ju reports the team recovered useful supplies after raiding the convenience store nearby. Gao pours gasoline into bottles, revealing he is building improvised Molotov cocktails now. He argues only fire can erase enough rune zombies to expose their controller. A teammate notes the infected remains scattered across campus, impossible to burn together. Gao recalls the chapel where their first desperate battle began inside this cave. The dark chapel becomes the chosen kill zone for Gao's cleansing inferno tonight. Around a barrel fire, the operatives prepare bottles, cloth, and weapons silently together. Gao plans using the auditorium microphone after music ends to lure every zombie. Ju watches the flames, hoping this brutal trap becomes their final battle inside. At the microphone, contests the system, then addresses the dead school solemnly. She dedicates a song, hoping students and teachers reunite as classmates next life. The melody rolls across moonlit campus, carrying her farewell through empty buildings everywhere. Rune zombies turn toward the voice, their black eyes locking onto sound instantly. The entire horde stampedes toward the chapel exactly as Gao predicted they would. Screaming infected pour through the open doors, packing themselves tightly inside at once. On Gao's command, a flaming Molotov arcs into the crowded building with force. The bottle shatters across the floor, spreading gasoline and immediate flame everywhere inside. More burning bottles rain over the trapped mass, sealing every possible escape route. Fire races through the chapel, turning countless rune zombies into shrieking torches together. One blazing silhouette thrashes helplessly as Gao's inferno devours the horde without mercy. Gray Bear braces a barrier, holding burning zombies back while the trap finishes. Ken remains at the microphone, surrounded by firelight and the screaming dead below. Tears fill her eyes as she keeps singing for everyone lost tonight there. Her voice carries memories of blue skies, graduation, and friends scattered forever apart. Mamba checks whether enough enemies are burning for Gao's plan to work fully. Gao orders retreat through windows and vaults across flaming debris towards safety outside. Xiang Dai and the others scramble after him as flames consume everything behind them. Gao launches through a shattered window, escaping the chapel before it collapses entirely. Outside, the survivors listen as roaring fire seals the slaughterhouse behind them completely. Gray Bear asks whether it succeeded, and another teammate confirms the massacre worked. Gao notices Mamba suddenly tense and asks what he senses nearby in darkness. Mamba stares into darkness and answers that their real target is here now. A lone figure stands beneath moonlight, watching the exhausted team from afar silently. Gao recognizes Li Juanghu, whose pale, glowing eyes burn with controlled hatred nearby. Gray Bear says the minions are dead, leaving only the archvillain himself ahead. Gao rejects that conclusion because his instincts detect something much worse nearby still. Behind Li Juanghu, another surviving pack of rune zombies gathers in darkness silently. Their synchronized feet advance, revealing the inferno never caught every infected body inside. Li stands at the center of his remaining dead army, commanding them silently. From above, the formation resembles a vast black weapon pointed toward Gao directly. Ju admits eliminating Li Juanghu directly is impossible while his dead army surrounds them. Ken proposes running because no exhausted squad can battle every remaining rune zombie. Mamba rejects escape. The tiny rune cave leaves nowhere distant enough to hide. Gao forces himself calm, refusing to let the monstrous formation shatter his command. The horde closes from every side, forming a giant shape with no visible exit. Mamba demands a strategy quickly, refusing to die inside this reconstructed nightmare tonight. Gray Bear turns toward Gao, placing the entire desperate counterattack in his captain's hands. Ju also demands 7 shadows produce a plan before the encirclement finishes closing. Gao orders Kan and Xiang Dai left across the playground, drawing zombies without engaging. Kan answers immediately, accepting the dangerous diversion without hesitation, fear, or any complaint. Gao divides the survivors into 2 combat units tasked with peeling guards from Li Gray Bear and Black Sparrow brace themselves, understanding the opening must be manufactured. Jiu's strike unit confirms the order and prepares to charge through the shifting dead. Rune zombies roar and surge forward, their disciplined formation finally breaking into attack. Gao commands Ziuyi to cut the snake's head off once the path opens. Li Juanghu watches nearby with burning eyes and a savage grin, completely unafraid. Ziuyi accepts and dives toward the target, blade raised for decisive execution. His weapon flashes through the darkness and tears across an enemy's neck instantly. Yet Li's smile remains, revealing the apparent opening was never truly clean there. The controller clutches a nearby corpse like a shield, hiding his real body behind prey. Li Juanghu unleashes his surrounding zombies with one command, sending the formation charging at Gao. Gao notes Li has spotted them and tells Ziuyi to wait for an opening. Then Gao and Mamba sprint together, dragging another cluster away from their assassination target. Elsewhere, Xiang Dai urges Kan onward as several diverted zombies suddenly turn back. Kan shouts wildly and waves them over, deliberately reclaiming the pursuing monster's attention. One rune zombie accelerates brutally, closing on Kan before she can regain distance. A gunshot punches straight through its head, dropping the sprinter inches from Kan. Xiang Dai catches Kan's wrist and yanks her away before another corpse reaches them. She scolds Kan's reckless stunt, terrified of reporting her death to their captain. Kan apologizes quietly, insisting she only wanted to contribute something useful for once. Kan praises Xiang Dai's perfect headshot, but the veteran mocks her skipped firearms practice. Kan grabs a loose brick and slams it loudly, renewing the horde's pursuit. Xiang Dai reaches a parked car and orders Kan inside before the pack arrives. She promises to finish every zombie chasing them from the vehicle's protected firing position. The bloody pursuers swarm closer, snarling as their glowing eyes lock onto fresh prey. They hammer at the car from every side, surrounding the women's improvised fortress completely. Xiang Dai calmly opens fire through the doorway, executing the nearest attackers at point-blank range. Afterward, Kan proudly asks whether her noisy diversion finally counted as meaningful help. Xiang Dai agrees, then rushes back toward Gao's unit before their situation collapses, but a bloodied hand shoots beneath the car and clamps around Kan's ankle. Kan looks back in terror, realizing the supposedly dead pursuer is still moving behind her. The mangled zombie rises with half its skull exposed, snarling through the impossible wound. Kan realizes Xiang Dai's bullet crossed the skull's side without actually destroying its brain. The survivor lunges at her again, turning one imperfect headshot into a lethal mistake. Xiang Dai orders Kan to endure another second while she frantically reloads her pistol. But watching those jaws close, Xiang Dai realizes her next shot will come too late. Meanwhile, Gray Bear's wooden weapon splinters against another reinforced zombie skull during their retreat. He stares at the broken handle, suddenly stripped of his only reliable striking tool. More corrupted corpses advance through Crimson Haze, convincing Gray Bear they cannot win directly. Black Sparrow agrees their shrinking unit will be wiped out if this exchange continues. She suddenly orders Gray Bear to follow, spotting a fenced area that might stall pursuit. The pair breaks away at full speed while their bloodied pursuers scramble after them. Gray Bear approves her idea when the tall wire enclosure comes into view ahead. They dash through its narrow entrance, using the fence to funnel every following zombie. The horde slams against the wire mesh, packing itself into a snarling wall. Gray Bear braces the barrier but warns Black Sparrow it will not hold much longer. She screams a challenge, baiting every zombie into pushing harder against the same section. Then Gray Bear spots the enclosure's sealed far end and realizes they trapped themselves. The overloaded mesh finally collapses, spilling a tangled heap of ruined zombies inside. With nowhere left to retreat, Gray Bear asks Black Sparrow what comes next. Elsewhere, Jiu's group climbs onto makeshift cover as another zombie pack closes around them. A muscular teammate warns Jiu that sheer numbers make continued resistance completely hopeless. Jiu orders everyone to hold firm and smashes another attacker from their platform. Another operative charges laughing, refusing to show the surrounding dead even a trace of fear. 3 minutes earlier, Gao had checked Mamba's condition amid bodies from their diversion route. Mamba answered confidently, standing back-to-back with Gao and gripping his remaining weapon tightly. Across the courtyard, Zhu Yi releases another arrow straight toward Li Xuanghu's head. Li catches the projectile effortlessly, smiling through blood as the deadly arrow stops cold. Zhu Yi freezes in disbelief, realizing his near-perfect opening still failed to connect. He curses that one lost split second, blaming himself for being just slightly too slow. Yet the archer remembers how close he came to reaching a higher realm of mastery. Gao senses Zhu Yi drawing again behind him while the archer's self-hatred sharpens. Facing another massed wave beside Mamba, Gao commits himself to one final desperate stand. The remaining zombies rush them together, closing the distance before Zhu Yi can fire. Gao swings his metal rod into the nearest skull, buying the archer another heartbeat. But the exhausting defense drains him rapidly, and another monster is already within reach. Mamba tells his captain to endure, crushing the attacker's head before its bite lands. Watching Gao and Mamba risk everything, Zhu Yi's grim expression softens into resolve. He draws once more, accepting his failures while refusing to leave the ending unchanged. Meanwhile, Kan struggles helplessly as the wounded zombie hauls itself between her legs. Elsewhere, Black Sparrow is seized from behind, another survivor seconds away from being bitten. Ju and another battered fighter keep swinging, even as corpses grab their weapons and arms. Gao is finally overpowered too, with a zombie's jaws hovering against his exposed throat. Recognizing his only chance, Zhu Yi focuses every remaining ounce of will into one shot. His arrow erupts forward beneath a colossal white bird, crossing the courtyard like judgment. Kan watches her attacker freeze instantly, its bloody fingers loosening before the bite lands. Across the battlefield, Gray Bear and Black Sparrow realize every rune zombie stopped together. Ju studies the motionless enemy in disbelief, daring to suspect their controller has fallen. Gao immediately understands, calling Zhu Yi's name with stunned, exhausted triumph across the courtyard. At the center, Li Xuanghu lies dead with Zhu Yi's arrow buried through his head.